Sunday is a race day here at Lamborghini The Real Race. Once again, we're coming back with a big group stage right before the grand finals. We have 3 regions overall. If you're an avid viewer, you know that. And we already did EMEA, we did APAC. And now it is time for the Northern regions. The last 2 races before we head into the last chance qualifiers and the big grand finale here at Lamborghini The Real Race. My name is Renee. And obviously, I'm not casting all of this on my own because that wouldn't sound as good. Because for that one, I need a proper British voice. So please welcome once again Lee Smith. Lee, it is another big weekend here for us at Lamborghini The Real Race because we will actually visit Zandvoort and your favorite track, whoever wants that as a favorite track, Silverstone, right?
I mean, it's my favorite track because I'm British and I go there.
You have Brands Hatch.
But as I get more and more into sim racing, my favorite track kind of moves. Like I've been doing a lot of Watkins Glen this week, and I'm kind of really liking Watkins Glen at the moment.
They speak English there, Lee.
I know.
Though.
It's New York, isn't it? Or New York State. It's not really at New York. But anyway, yes. We've already got our 15 races for EMEA and APAC sort of decided. We do, of course, have last chance qualifiers coming up. Keep your eyes peeled for them. But we want to see who the 15 drivers are going to be from the NALA region today, which hopefully is not going to be wet racing. We've had a lot of wet racing.
True. That is true. But let's once again talk about the actual format, because we have a lot of drivers in here. In case you're wondering now, why are there some in like a nice blue and someone in a nice blue but that's just darker, then that's because these drivers are not with us today. Everyone else here kind of lighting up. They are on the grid today because they want to gather, they want to get the last 15 spots to go through the grand final, because this is a longer run, Lee, right, in terms of format. What are we doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously these guys all qualified to get here. Unlike previous years where we had it, they would qualify every single time. This time around, they qualified right at the start. And you can see 24 of those players, they came through into this group stage where we are right now. Now, we've already had 2 races set up. We've got 2 more today, which are obviously at Zandvoort and Silverstone, as you alluded to. It was Laguna Seca and Brands Hatch before that in the wet, which caught everyone off guard. And that means we're going to have the 15 drivers moving through to the finals. And then where do we get the last guy? Well, it's from the last chance event, and it is only the winner that will go from that. The finals, they're going to be on October 16th, so you're going to want to set your calendars because we're covering all 3 regions in one day. It's going to be a long one, Renee.
Yeah, it will be a massive race day once again. Obviously, compared to last season, one of the biggest difference is we're using the Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2, the new car that came to ACC. That's the software we're using from Cuna Simulazioni, Assetto Corsa Competizione. And another addition is that there's actually a €15,000 prize pool, 5k per region. And obviously, once again, we will have a regional winner. And these regional winners will have the chance to actually become a Lamborghini eSports driver. So that is, we're talking about an actual proper job here.
Yeah, an actual proper job. Obviously, people have gone on to do that. So this is a legit career path that could be set up here. These are the current race standings. Obviously, this is after the first 2 races at Laguna Seca and Brands Hatch. They were pretty lively affairs. We saw a lot of penalties, actually, if you remember, coming in there, which is why Fidel Moreira, last year's champion, currently only resides at 3rd place. But this is obviously the top 10. As we pointed out, top 15 will go through. So I wouldn't say everyone here is safe. The top 5 is certainly probably safe, but it definitely gets a little closer as the points start trickling down there. As you can see, only 9 points, so it is pretty open for really any driver competing today to get into that top 15.
Yes, especially for drivers like Gustavo Rodriguez or Fernando Deutsch, they will be here. They have been here in the previous races. So far, they weren't that successful, or not successful enough to get in the top 15, but they could do it today. If not, there's still a chance of the last chance qualifier, obviously, where everyone from the region can take part that didn't make it into the top 15. Today's tracks, we already talked about it. We actually visit 2 of them once again, European venues. And I think it's time for us to check out the first one and actually learn a bit more about where to overtake and what to look out for.
Hello everybody, my name is Gianfranco Giglioli, official Automobil Lamborghini eSports driver, and today we are in Zandvoort. Are you ready for an onboard lap? Let's go. So here we go with our lap in Zandvoort. First corner, totally flat out from 6th to 2nd gear. We have to be very close to the apex, and then smooth on the gas. 3rd gear, very careful with the inside curb. Also here, close, very close. I have been a little bit too close, but it's okay. 2nd gear in exit, use all the track possible. The SS, very nice part of the track, totally flat out. Watch out with the understeer here in the braking zone. This corner is very difficult. 4th gear, then 3rd gear, we stay very close. Then watch out in the outside because there is the grass. 2nd gear, we use all the track. 2nd again, very clean. It's a very difficult corner. You have to be very clean in the braking zone and also in the throttle. And then a small straight to the chicane from 5th to 2nd. Watch out with the corner in the inside because they are very tall. So avoid it. And yeah, last 2 corners from 4th to 3rd. Don't go too much on the inside in that corner. And it's not so easy to go flat out in the last corner, but yeah, we try. And that was a lap in Zandvoort. So that was a lap in Zandvoort. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I wish good luck to all the drivers and enjoy with the real race. Ciao.
Zandvoort it is, our very first track in League. It has a lot of banking. Kind of reminds me of Nordschleife by now. That sounds weird to people out there, but believe me, Nordschleife has a lot of banking.
Yeah, and it also has that really satisfying part of the track. I think he called it the S's. It's the Hunslung, isn't it, or something like that. It's like turn 4, 5, 6. That little after the second hairpin, you're just like flat out going through it, and then as you say, you go into the banking. The biggest issue is if you get it wrong, you're basically in the beach. so if you get it wrong, you're gonna know about it, and it's gonna cost you a lot of time to try and get out of that sand.
Could be worse. I mean, that sounds like the perfect setup for Kimi Raikkonen. Basically, crash the car and then maybe just go to the beach instead of onto a ship. But it is our first track before we then head over to the UK, and let's see if we'll have rain. That's another one. But the good thing about Lamborghini The Real Race and live shows we're doing is that we actually also be able to talk to the Lamborghini eSports drivers about their life, about their driving, and about their current season, and all the tips they have for our drivers here to maybe become their teammates one day. So I'm super happy that Gianfranco Giglioli is once again joining us. That's the same person you just had on the video. Gianfranco, I hope you had a good day so far. You're ready for some racing action?
No, just relax.
No racing action for you in this one. I mean, you're lucky there. You don't have to do anything. But you did the Zandvoort track guide. Can you give us any like major overtaking opportunities that we have to look out for?
Sure, in turn 1 and also in the chicane.
So basically, diving in hot on the brakes, I guess, is going to be the best part. Obviously, you know, you're in Automobile Lamborghini eSports team, and it's been a pretty busy season for you guys. What does it mean to be part of this team this year?
It's fantastic. It's something really grateful because we won a race. We finished second the last one, so 2 podiums in 4 races, and we were a bit unlucky in the other 2 races, but I mean the overall we can be happy with the work we have done.
What's up next for you guys in terms of Lamborghini eSports racing teams? Like, is there like how filled up is your schedule, and is there anything you look forward to in particular?
The next race will be the 24 hours of Spa, and that will be our last venue. We hope to do a great result also there, so we can fertilize the final result of the team. You know, we dream to finish in top 3. We are P4 in this moment, so we wish to finish in top 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we spoke to Simonini last week. It literally was the day after Kyalami. You guys finished second in that 9-hour event. As you mentioned, the next one's the big one, right? It's the 24-hour event, I believe. How's the preparation and everything go for that? And obviously, how do you feel the Kyalami event went for you? Obviously, P2 was great.
Well, yeah, the preparation, of course, is important, and we have a month to prepare the 24-hour. But for sure, we have to do the best we can do with the potential of the car in that track. You know, it's not easy when in some tracks the car is very very fast. In other tracks is much difficult to bring the result. But we will do as much as we can to do our best.
Gianfranco, maybe one last tip for our drivers out there is like anything that can still do now to make sure that they have a successful day.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Do you have any last tips for our drivers in today's grid? Anything that they can still do now to make sure that they're successful today?
Crash the first corner.
That's always a good one. It's lost there. It's never won. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Gianfranco, and yeah, enjoy the races that are coming up. They are quite busy over at Lamborghini eSports, I can tell you that. But not busy enough to send Jordan Sherrod also in the chat. I saw him in the chat there. Kudos to him. Big shout out. Obviously, the winner of the EMEA region last time around. But new season, new names, Lee. And new time for winners, I would say.
I mean, we still say new names, but there's also a lot of old names
That's true.
returning as well, like the returning champion Moreira in there. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it is. Obviously, I've been watching the practice, so, you know, we're looking at decent times throughout, pretty even spread times as well. A lot of people, I would say that, yeah, the top 12 are with inside a second. So it's going to be a very open race. As he just pointed out, you know, basically the two hairpins is really where the main overtaking points are. But some of these drivers, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle the pressure. You know, we're talking about it. This is a tough track, right? This is not in terms of driver skill, but in terms of overtaking skill. It is a tough track to get past people.
Yeah, we just saw Ryan Woodrow currently is in 6th. Obviously, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez in 2nd position. So one of the top drivers that we have, Diego Carnin, he's a bit further down in 7th right now. One of the positions where now you have to watch out, because if any of the back markers, I will call them, now it's a bit harsh, but you know what I mean. If they actually grab a win, then all of a sudden you can find yourself outside the top 15. So you really have to ensure today that you consistently bring points home on Zandvoort and then on Silverstone.
Yeah, I mean, the current cutoff is 9 points, right? That's easy. That's anyone's. You know, anyone could have a good race and suddenly bounce the way up there. We saw last week in APAC that some drivers had some fantastic performances that hadn't previously. So obviously don't read everything into the first 2 races that we had in the group stage, because it was a very wet track at both Laguna Seca and Brands Hatch. So those that preferred it in the wet or actually came better prepared in the wet would have done a lot better than, you know, perhaps some others.
Yeah, it's not easy. Drivers obviously have to adapt. There is a dynamic weather system within ACC, which we absolutely love. We had that last time around, right, where we changed in sessions in terms of how wet it was. We went from a dry track to a damp track to a greasy track and to a wet track. We basically had all the different versions of it available. But I can see that everyone is on the grid, and it will be a tough race because Zandvoort, with its very fast and flowing corners, there's not often a second or even a third lane that you can take when you're side by side. So especially the first, let's say, 1 to 2 laps can be crucial, because if you drop out soon and you might pick up some damage already, that's a race done. And that's obviously something that Fidel Moreira is not hoping for, as he's leading the pack here for the race with De Oliveira Rodriguez in 2nd. Then 2nd row, Negrini and Oliveira. They're not the same. They just have a similar last name. Then Carnin, Roberto, and Woodrow, with Hardison finishing the top 8 for today's race.
Yeah, interesting to see Josh McKean all the way down in 10th, our current points leader. So this is what we're talking about, like different drivers in different tracks, different weather conditions can absolutely deliver. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for you. Now, obviously the biggest part of Zandvoort. The start, you're going to be going down that big long straight into a full 180 hairpin. That's going to be where it can catch people off guard. Are we going to see people running wide? Are we going to see people battling for position? Or are they simply going to play it safe? Remember, this is a 15-minute sprint race. We have a 15-minute sprint into a 45-minute main race. The top 8 will be switching. So reverse order comes out of that, which means if you finish in first, you will be starting in 8th in that race. So you really need to almost protect your position in this race. Anyone from 9th downwards, say for example you finish 9th, you start 9th. But if you're running in the top, couple of 5 positions and you suddenly spin, it's problems. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, we're underway, the real race, Lamborghini Challenge underway, and it is going to be Moreira that will start things off. Fidel Moreira, easy for him, and Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, he's the main man to watch, currently 2nd in the points and right on it. But of course, there's a lot of drivers in there. I'm looking at the likes of Carnahan that can score some big points in this opening sprint race and really boost their challenge to get into the finals.
Yeah, De Oliveira Rodriguez slotted in behind Moreira immediately. Seems like he did not get off the line that great because he had to cover up Negrini on the inside. Same for Oliveira. All of them are single file already because they know, it's like what I talked about in the beginning. It is so hard here to be side by side. So this time around, we're way quicker into like this one-lane racing compared to Misano or other tracks that we visited in between the different regions and the different racing. Josh McKean now trying to make a move on Clifford here in the blue and orange. Lamborghini on the outside. They're still side by side. He's now having the slightly longer way around, but look how he uses the car to really get that grip going for him, and he tried to close the gap to Clifford to ensure that they're on a similar lane, and I think this move will actually stick for McKean, the current points leader, as you pointed out already, Lee. Very far in the back, so I expect a ton of overtakes happening here for him.
That was simply a battle for his position. He started in 10th as well, so just had to fight it back there from Clifford. Sort of did very well and very tight. The cutback, oh my word, I was expecting Clifford to spin McKean at the end there as they cut back into position. But here we go, first lap underway. You can see the trail of cars all starting to split off to the side there as they try and desperately look for something. Somebody's looking to go up the inside there. Was that Negrini? Was that Negrini that was having a little peek? I couldn't tell. There's certainly someone who was having a little look up the inside. Ryan Woodrow absolutely has. Ryan Woodrow, I think it was maybe I was seeing, gets past Ari Hardelson as he squeezes on through into 7th position. And that's what we're talking about. Turn 1 and turn 3. They are the main overtaking spots. That's where everyone's going to be looking. So it's all about that exit, isn't it, on the final corner to get yourself in a position down the back straight.
Yeah, you want all the momentum in that corner and ensure that you're quick on the straights because you somehow have to grab some of the slipstream and then position yourself for an actual attack. Obviously, all of these drivers run the same car. They might run different setups, but they run the same car, so you can't really overpower someone or look for weaknesses on their car compared to your car like you would, for example, in GT3 racing. Here, they all got the same to work with, so you need to be really on point to even get anywhere close to make a move. Talking about getting close to a move, I think Hardison will be a bit under pressure now by Berticelli Rodeo, who's right behind him, and then on the back, I also see a McKean already, who closed quite quickly, and I think if Hardison and Berticelli start fighting, it will be McKean actually just trying to slip past because he does not want to lose any more time. He needs at least 8th position to get the pole position for the main race.
Yeah, that's where the real battles are happening. You can see the top 3 are kind of broken away a little bit. Oliveira has kind of been left behind, but this is going to be Carnahan under pressure. Ryan Woodrow looking to try and squeeze up, but he's locked on the outside right now. Not going to work out for him. Maybe try and get the switch back. The Canadian keeping the pressure down, but not in a position to do it. But while he battles, he needs to be careful. Hardison's right back on his heels. So certainly with a challenge, a chance. Maybe look, who's that looking to go around the outside? Is that McKean? It is, isn't it? That's at the back there, just having a little sniff to see if there's any opportunity. This is the section I was talking about, though. This is like really... every track has like a really satisfying part of the track, and this is it. You know, going around those bank corners flat out until you get to here, this sweeping banked right-hander. You just got to balance the car right, and away you go. There's so many little corners, sort of ebb and flow, that you have to really be checking your braking points and making sure you're not unsettling the car, as it were, as you come hot on the heels. But that's Hardison having yet another look at Ryan Woodrow, but every time he has this little peak, it's opening himself up for a challenge, and that's exactly what's happening. You can see Berticelli just having a little peek behind him once again.
Yeah, it won't be easy. As soon as he goes for an attack and just not getting through with it, there's already 2 drivers waiting for him. And I like how McKean currently is just waiting it out a bit. Yes, it's only a 15-minute race, but you don't have to do everything or get everything done in just 1 lap.
But this is big, though. This is big, Rennie, because if Berticelli gets it, that's a pole position start. This is the 8th position.
But McKean's, in terms of pace, he knows that he can catch that. It's just he doesn't want to get tangled up in any fight that might cost him the race because he picked up damage.
Well, that is true. I mean, you also don't get wiped out. The fact is, this you can tell already. This is a very tricky track to overtake on. Eri Riley, though, has got it done. Gets past Jonathan Clifford. Clifford down to 12th now as Eri Riley starting to chase down Josh McKean. So McKean may start to feel the pressure as Riley gets it done, seeing if he can improve his position. Let's see where he is in the standings right now. Riley down in 12th, so definitely one of those drivers with just 10 points that wants to get more on the board. So is going to be hungry to try and make that challenge.
And they're doing good so far. I mean, we didn't saw any major mistakes at all, and as you said, we also had overtakes happening. It is possible. It's just so hard being on the same cars, and Berticelli now kind of lost out to Hardison, not in a position to attack anymore, and seems like he can't go the pace of Carnan, Woodrow, and Hardison. But he will have to do something because Josh McKean, the set current points leader, he's sitting on 63 points. Next one will be Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, who's in second right now. Second in this race and second in the standings with 54 points. So McKean is a very quick driver, but even he has to find a way around people on a track like this where you can run the outside of that banking, but it's also a lot longer, and this isn't a NASCAR oval. You cannot just sit there and try to build up speed for the next stage.
No, absolutely. And for someone like, Hardison, who's currently sitting in 16th position with just 9 points on the board, if he could complete this sprint race and get that 8th finish, which will obviously give him the points, but also will catapult him to a pole position start for the main race, he could be looking at some real points, so, which will, almost secure his position in that finals. So to lose out to, say, Berticelli Rolio, who is very much safe, his 5th points, 32 points on the board, pretty much in the finals already, that would be heartbreaking for him. So he needs to just be as defensive as he can. And Negrini here, you can see, starting to get a little bit of pressure. Oliveira and Roberto behind him, both, all 3 drivers actually, all very much secure in their points. The top 2, though, by the way, have pulled away a fair bit here. 2.5 second gap. That's pretty darn impressive. Halfway into the race already. Yeah,
I think Morera did a great job at using the open track to really lay down some fast lap times. Oliveira, by the way, has to kind of open up to Roberto here to avoid any contact. But he was still enough on the inside there to slot the car back in front and keep following Negrini. But yes, as I said, Negrini kind of lost contact to Morera and Oliveira Rodriguez. Seems like Oliveira Rodriguez is the only other car right now that can keep up with Morera's pace. Obviously, we don't know about McKean because he's stuck in traffic, still behind Berticelli Rodeo, looking for a chance to get Berticelli and Hardison to discuss for the pole position for main race. But there's only 7 minutes to go still, and looking at this track and only having proper 2 points to overtake, that is not a lot of time. Maybe now at the end of the stretch, though.
Josh McKean looking to maybe have a little dink in here. Has a little peek. Actually gets late in the brakes, but not really close enough there. Didn't want to risk it, Josh McKean. 10th place, at the moment. I think this may be just a solidify his position and just finish out the race, really. There's no reason for him to rush it. He is very much secure on the points. Vinny Oliveira once again having a little look towards Negrini there, but he's got Roberto right on his rear spoiler. Seeing if he can get close enough. Oliveira de Rodrigo, by the way, I should talk about the top 2 since we haven't really given them any screen time. Has just posted the fastest lap on Moreira. Still very much keeping him in tow and really keeping on him at the moment.
Yes, I think de Oliveira Rodriguez does an absolutely amazing job to keep up with Morera. I'm not quite sure if he's really pushing because, as you said already, in terms of points for the grand final, they are safe, right? They just need to bring it back. But still, keeping the car roughly within half a second, getting the toe on the straight, getting close on the braking, that is still remarkable. I think we overlook so often how hard it is to actually follow behind a car that closely. Even if, I mean, they can do a lot closer than that. Don't get me wrong. But still, it isn't easy, because every single time, depending on how far away the car in front is, the driving slightly change. You get a bit more downforce because your car's pressed down by the air, and then all of a sudden you might be a bit quicker on the straight because you got closer and got more slipstream, more toe. Ooh. And, oh, that is Josh McKean going a bit wide. Probably watched the Fanatec GT World Challenge and realized it's all about your imagination where the track is.
No, that's been fixed these days.
It isn't. Did you not see the last race?
He's left himself wide open though, and Eddie Riley having a little peek there. What, yesterday? I didn't actually see the one yesterday.
I'm not sure if it was yesterday, but I can tell you that in the last race they went so wide that probably there are people that parked closer to the corner than they drove with the GT3.
Are you talking about real racing? GT
We're talking
World
about
Challenge.
real racing,
right?
yes,
Okay, the one that just completed this weekend, right? Okay, yeah.
Eric Riley, by the way, super close to Josh McKean now after the mistake. So we first went a bit wide on the last corner before coming to the start-finish straight, and then opened up the door a bit too wide. Now Clifford also closes. I'm actually surprised that McKean is now having a gap of 0.8 seconds to Hardison. Betticelli got Hardison. That's a thing I think we overlooked, kinda.
Oh yeah, we missed that.
So maybe we can have a replay of that. But McKean, he did not get any advantage out of those two fighting, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, he must have snuck that in when we were looking at the front two. This is always the danger. You look away, you try and look at give him a little bit of airtime at the front there, and then he pounces. Like we waited, we pretty much looked at him for 10 minutes, and then he didn't. He didn't make the move. But that is a big move. That puts Hardison out of the reverse grid and will start him in 9th position as opposed to pole position. That would have been huge for him, but now he's going to have a real fight on his hands. Obviously with McKean and Riley still behind him. I mean, that's pretty safe at the moment, it looks like, with just 3 minutes to go here. It doesn't look like there's going to be too many people making a move. You can see it's really Clifford that's probably the closest here. Jonathan Clifford, who actually has gone backwards. He's lost the one position, sorry, from the start. Started in 11th, gone down to 12th place. So I don't think he's going to be too perturbed at losing just a single spot. But either way, maybe he wants to improve that position and get further up. In terms of points overall, it's still looking good, though. Everybody running obviously will be getting points here. There's only the 17 cars. In terms of standings, so it's a case of trying to get as many as you can.
Yeah, but if we look at like further down, for example, Clifford is currently sitting in 9th, so he is fine, right? Like in terms of points. But in the back we have Max Baumann, for example, currently in 15th, 17th in the overall standings, so not within the top 15. Ari Hardison, 16th, so one position out of the top 15. He's looking good because he's in 9th. That's a lot of points, right? Gustavo Camillo is right in front of him, sitting on the last position that makes it through to the grand final, and he's only in 14th. So he is behind Hardison. So all of this can really change a lot, because then it's David Calvi on 14th and Michael Mooning on 13th, and they also far back right now. So I think the biggest fight right now is like coming behind Hardison. That's everyone there still trying to get the last points, because some of them will have to miss out.
Yeah, I mean, what you've got Calvo, Camino, Hardison, all on 9 points, Baumann on 8, so all sort of tight from one another. P12, that is Clifford, actually getting past Eri Riley. He's going to may well get it done. What? Jeez, he shut the door there, didn't he? Made sure he got that job done, but I think it may have cost him a bit of pace. It is going to force Riley wide. Also looking towards the top there, you can see Vinny Oliveira under pressure. That's Roberto looking to get past as well. And at the moment, well, a couple of position changes. So what does that mean for Clifford? Clifford and Riley. Clifford is on 9th place, 21 points. Riley at the moment, 10 points. So Riley losing out on what is an important point.
Clifford is 11th. Hardison is 9th.
No, Clifford is in 9th in rankings.
Oh, you mean overall rankings?
Yes, in points.
Yeah,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Sorry.
That's what I was saying. That's what it means a lot there. Speaking of meaning a lot, is Roberto going to try and get it done here? You always get a little bit of craziness in the final lap. but it doesn't look like it's going to happen this time. I mean, he's basically within the final lap, I think. Where is Morera? So he's just going through the chicane at the moment. So don't think we're going to get another lap. I don't think so. Negrini under pressure, but I think most of the positions should be safe. Let's have a look at the replay. So this was Clifford.
So yeah, it's
Oh, that's a wheel disconnect.
That's wheel disconnect. I would say so.
That's 100%
Very
a wheel
unlikely that
disconnect,
he
yeah.
decided that.
To just fully pull it left. Yeah, I don't think so.
It's like, what's my best option right now? Fully pull it left. Definitely
I
not
seem
part
to
of it.
remember Wisniewski having that happen like twice in a row or something.
But this
in a
once again
different
opens up the door for someone else to make it in the top 15 because Ari Riley is sitting on 12, as we discussed previously. And he will probably not score any points in the sprint, which opens up for people like Calvo, for example, to make it. For Ari Hardison, who's in a great position right now. Or even for Max Baumann, who's in 17th overall.
Well, it is all about Fidel Morera once again today, the champion last year, looking to continue where he left off. Didn't have... Well, in fairness, he had a couple of penalties, didn't he? He had a couple of penalties last time out in the groups, so looking like he's going to continue, along with Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, I should say, because obviously both these guys have always performed, and they were battling it out before, almost confirming their places in the finals. They're very much up on the points. Vinny Oliveira and Roberto, though, who's going to come out on top of this? Is Roberto finally going to get it done? If Oliveira will be on the inside, a little banging door to door, will be over to Roberto, possibly forcing him wide onto the grass. Roberto is going to get it through, but that's also puts Carnahan through, and that will put 6th place in the end for Vinny Oliveira on the final lap. Not something he was looking forward to. Over the line, though, goes Fidel Morera. He will conclude, get himself 1st place. Rodriguez was 2nd. The Greenie coming through in 3rd. Roberto, in the end, will get that 4th place. Will he be penalised for it? It was side-by-side racing. Who knows? Carnahan in 5th. Oliveira in 6th. Woodrow 7th. Rodriguez, in the end, does get himself that 8th place confirmed. And again, the reverse grid over to the pole position. Hardison 9th. McKean 10th. Clifford in 11th. And I think it was Moaning, actually, they got 12 with Camilo, because obviously we saw Ari Riley, unfortunately, going into the wall with what seemed to be a wheel disconnect. That's unfortunate, because obviously for Riley, I think he was one of the people that were looking towards needing the points. Things like that can cost you. He was only on 10 points going into that, so he ends up with a 17th place, which means he's also starting in 17th on the main race as well.
Yeah, he definitely has to make up for it. I mean, we know now that Betticelli Rodeo will be quite happy, right? He gets the pole position. I'm a bit surprised that McKean, as our points leader, did not manage to get really through the grid. He started 10th.
I think he's just going through the motions.
So it's like it's not really getting it done, I would say. And with Riley not scoring points in the sprint race, this really opens up the door. So he either has to cover against people like Calvillo, against Max Baumann, right? Who are waiting to enter the top 15 here on the last races of the group stage to go into the grand final, and he might lose out on it, even though he probably felt safe with 12th position. That's how quickly everything can change in motorsport. I mean, there was one little thing, well, whatever happens there, probably a technical problem, but it's part of racing, it's part of motorsport, and all of a sudden you see a huge challenge in front of you. Luckily, he still have 3 races to go. We have 1 main race in Zandvoort, and then a sprint in the main race still in Silverstone.
Yeah, it's there's still lots of points to be had. Now, obviously, we're going to the main race. I mean, it's not ideal for Riley. Hopefully, he can get whatever problem happened. It almost certainly looked like a wheel escape. When it suddenly slams to the left, it's almost certainly a USB issue or something like that maybe just pinged on his computer. But hopefully, it's not a serious problem. He gets it fixed, and he should be fine for the 45-minute race. We had a similar type of thing last week, didn't we, in APAC? Davish Singh, unfortunately, disconnecting both main races. His connection just about 30 minutes into both races got that dreaded disconnect. Concluded both sprint races, but yeah, sometimes these things happen. That's the danger of obviously sim racing online.
Yes, I mean, it's not just online. It can happen on offline events as well. It just recently happened on one where it happened. But yeah, we will have another 45-minute main race in Zandvoort. Will Fidel Morera win it from 8th position, or is it De Oliveira Rodriguez now who got the upper hand starting in 7th? Or do we find any of the other drivers climbing the podium? All of that and more right after the break. back again and ready to roll here with Lamborghini The Real Race. The very last group stage for the Nala region. Happening today, we just had one race in Zandvoort, which was the sprint race, 50 minutes long. A 45-minute feature race awaits us now before we're heading over to the UK for the same sprint and feature race there on the famous track of Silverstone. Lee, we saw that really they went from side by side at the start to immediately single file. Zandvoort is a hard track to even get around.
Yeah, and I think it showed throughout that sprint race. I mean, obviously people didn't want to take risks because at the end of the day, obviously you position carriers through to the main race, and that's where you really bank your points. But we also saw you really got to pick your moment. Obviously, to turn one seems to be the favourable point, which is pretty standard, right? You go heavier on the brakes and hope that you don't overshoot and run into your opponent, and hope that you can keep it tight as you go around, which, to be fair, everybody pretty much was. There was only that little bit of jostling towards the end between third and fourth, Roberto and Oliveira towards the end there for fourth place. But outside of that, I mean, it was pretty clean, which is nice to see. We always love clean racing. This obviously we had crazy amounts of incidents. We had another penalty-free race, didn't we? In that
we
one?
did, yeah.
A penalty-free race.
I mean, unless there's still one penalty.
Oh, that is true. That is true. I haven't looked at the sheet to see if a race control have decided to sneak one in there. I mean, it kind of was side by side. I don't know. I think it's more of a racing incident than like aggressive move, as it were. But yeah, it's it's a tough race, right? It's a tough one from an entertaining perspective because it's like this. It's just the track. It's just the track. Unfortunately, Zandvoort is like this. We had the same outcome. Be it in Formula One, the GTs were there obviously not too long ago as well, and it is a tough track to overtake on.
It definitely is, and we saw someone that didn't have to overtake it. Oh, that was Fidel Morera. But let's talk about Jonathan Clifford, the 33-year-old from the US who had a decent race and is still looking like he will make the grand final if he keeps scoring today.
Yeah, started 11th, got back to 11th, didn't he? He took over Eri Riley. He had, in fairness, got the move kind of done before Riley's unfortunate incident with the wheel, so... yeah, he had actually managed to retake him, so did obviously lose that position earlier on as well. Hardison, unfortunately for him, he couldn't hang on to that 8th place. The American was looking at a potential dream pole position start here in the main race, but unfortunately it does mean he will be starting from 9th place. He is one of the drivers that are chasing points, only on 10 points at the start of today. Obviously just got some points for that sprint race, so looking to try and solidify his position here.
Yeah, I think he had it in his hands and kind of slipped away, as he said. And more important for me was that McKean did not make a pass. I know I repeat myself here, but hey, McKean is the points leader of the entire Nala region right now. But if he beats Fidel Morera, obviously because Morera also gets some penalties last time around, but still. And he did not manage to even get inside the top 10. Oh, he was 10th. So technically that is within the top 10, but... he didn't move from there, right? He started 10th, dropped down to 11th, went up to 10th again. And that's kind of it. And I expected him to do the typical of the top runners that we see, right? That they carve through the grid and they always create new opportunities for themselves to overtake. Did not look the same for McKean today, though.
I mean, the biggest thing is how much practice he would have put into it. Like, obviously knowing that he was 56 points at the start of the day or something like that, knowing that he was pretty much safe. He probably just coming into Zandvoort, it's like, I probably don't need to put too much time into this. He knows he's safe. Just literally turn up, do your job, solidify your points. Doesn't matter whether you're 1st or 15th, as long as you're into that final, because that's where it counts.
True as well. I obviously always hope that races want to race, and that's the same for me. Sprint races, that's always fun, right? Because we talked about today that, sprint race, they just had to ensure that they are okay-ish because they want to score big in the feature race. Could never do that, man. So 50-minute race, that's perfect because I don't have to worry about the tires or anything else happening in this. It's just 50-minute flat out and not caring about whatever happens afterwards. Seems like they're a bit smarter than me when it comes to racing. Probably why they make it into the grand final and I don't. But still, it's an endurance race. So anyone out there, see me on the real racetrack? Yes, an endurance racing. I know that I don't have to do that, so I'm not doing that. But still, I think that we saw, first of all, Fidel Morera and Oliveira Rodriguez showing us what the true pace is of the grid. They had the open space, at least Morera had, and he really had some good lap times. Them now starting in 8th, that will be interesting. Talk about starting in 8th, it's Botticelli at Rodeo, who was 8th in the sprint race, who will start first in the main race, followed by Woodrow, Ryan Woodrow on second position. Second row then is Oliveira and Carlin, and then we have Roberto and Negrini in the blue, and Roberto in the dark green color on your left side. De Oliveira Rodriguez, the only man that could follow for Fidel Morera on the very first race. Then it's Hardison who missed out on pole position by just 1 position. Then McKean, the crew points leader, who just dropped the car down there. Then everyone keeps going. Clifford behind, Moerning, Camillo, Baumann, Calvo Jr. and Riley. Riley obviously after probably what was a wheel disconnect in the sprint race. Not a good starting position, but that also means if he enjoys overtaking, then he could have a lot of that going forward in the next 45 minutes here in the Netherlands on the Zandvoort track.
Yeah, so Hardison from 9th position could have been here, could have been the man to watch, but with a tough overtaking track, we'll see how it works out. Ryan Woodrow alongside, I expect to see him maybe try and put a move in. He did certainly make a move in the sprint race. I expect him to be doing the same here. He will be on the outside of the track, though. It's going to be very tricky going into turn 1, but away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Lamborghini the real race on the way for the Nala region, live at Zandvoort, and it will be Botticelli Rodeo that will start things off from pole position, holds that position as well. Ryan Woodrow going to be hot on his heels as everybody else starts to file themselves out. Still pretty much double spread though further back there. De Oliveira Rodriguez and Morera not really making a move just yet. Looking further down, see if anybody else is trying to squeeze on through. Carnahan absolutely is. Camilo also getting it done there. And Dave Jr. It's Eri Riley that's the man that's gone backwards, unfortunately. As I say that, I was getting told misinformation. He's actually worked his way up to 13th position. Maybe cutting across the corner like that's not the ideal situation. Maybe a penalty, who knows. Track limits. We'll see how that one works out. But remember, he started in 17th. I also see Fidel Moreira at the back.
Yeah, same for McKean, by the way. So Oliveira grabbed Woodrow's second position early on in the race. So it's Botticelli, then Oliveira, and then Woodrow. So that changed around already. But Morera, once again, finding himself at the back of the pack, similar to his previous group stage event, which is why probably he's not leading the board right now. But McKean also down there. Seems like, I mean, McKean started 10th, Morera started 8th. So it could have been between those two, to be honest. Because Hardison's still around. Hardison was 9th. So the car in between Morera and McKean is still with us in the top 10. And then it's Clifford, who's now in 9th. Obviously getting all the position gifted to him. Riley, as we saw previously, a bit hot on the heels, maybe a bit too hot with cutting all those corners, while Ryan Woodrow is looking at getting back his second position around Oliveira now. Around the outside into turn 1. Great on the brakes there, but the wait is just too long. I mean, if you can't use the banking on the inside, you can't carry that much speeds. Like I said, not similar to NASCAR Oval, where there is a chance for you to be fairly quick around the outside. But here in Zandvoort, that's not a given in every corner, just because the wait just gets so long and the banking not crazy enough to really keep the momentum high of your car.
Yeah, you can't just swing it round there. You need to be a little bit more delicate. For example, Roberto being very cautious this time out, making sure he didn't take out Ryan Woodrow. Dave Jr. with the fastest lap down in 12th. We'll see if that one holds its position as the cars do start to single file themselves out. I think that's just the opening lap. So obviously, you know, if you're further back on the when it goes green, you can certainly get yourself a bit of extra time. That's how it worked out for him. Ryan Woodrow, though, under pressure. Vini Oliveira already passed. We didn't mention that Oliveira Rodriguez already up to 6th, by the way, so he managed to get past Negrini. So already made one position up there as he's starting to work his way through the field and maybe see if he can go on to win this one without the challenge of Moreira, who won out in the sprint race.
Yeah, it's like Morera is really far behind. It's even another 3.5 seconds to Calvo, who's in 16th. So I wonder if Morera picked up big damage in whatever happened. Maybe we can get a replay of that. Let's have a quick look at his beautiful EVO2 Huracán Super Trofeo. I think there's some damage at the front. I think the front bumper actually came loose. Not great for like the airstream going over the car, that's for sure. Philippe Roberto hit behind Woodrow, and Woodrow lost second position very, very early in the race, and seems like Philippe Roberto can also close that gap to the one starting in first row. Let's see if Woodrow can actually keep on to that, or he will give that out. Marcello Betticello Rodeo does a great job as the leading car right now. Spread his gap already in the first 4 minutes to 1.5 seconds. I think you can work with that as long as De Oliveira Rodriguez takes more time to pass.
Yeah, 37.0, the fastest lap he just posted on the second lap. That's pretty impressive. Obviously, they're going to be on the full fuel as well, don't forget. So going into this one, bearing in mind there was only 2 drivers in the 36s in the sprint race, and that was Oliveira Rodriguez and Moreira, so which were the first and second drivers. So decent pace already set by Berticelli Rodeo. And let's not forget, let's not look over the fact, yes, he finished 8th in the last race, but he's also very high in the points. He was already 4th or 5th before the start of today, so obviously a very accomplished driver. Move being snuck in there. Carnahan under pressure from Oliveira Rodriguez, seeing if he can squeeze on past. Igor doing what he can. May well be able to find a move as he comes down the main straight here. We'll keep our eye on that. As you can see, peeling off to the side there, that is Roberto and Woodrow. So Woodrow being defensive, Igor looking to see what he can do. Woodrow will be able to hold position. Igor was blocked off, so he wasn't able to try and make the move. So it does seem that this battle in the front here at the moment, Woodrow actually backing them up a little bit. I thought he was about to get punted, actually. Just got on the brakes in time there, Roberto.
Yeah, that was quite close. I also thought that might be the end of Ryan Woodrow, but luckily no contact was made. I wonder if we now have the quick chance to look at the Fidel Moreira incident, because for whatever reason he is all the way back, because I think probably Roberto can't launch an attack as of right now. So let's see, that is for Fidel Moreira is the purple car in front, if I got that right. Yeah, that is McKean on his back. Oh, he was tapped from the inside. Who was that though? Black and neon green car. Was that Hardison? Oh,
yeah,
that was Hardison. All right,
yeah.
We got confirmation by our broadcasting team. So that is not great, obviously. Talk about not great. That looks like Negrini's car decided to create a new shortcut on the bank corner, but Negrini will definitely lose another spot. Yeah, Ari Hardison going through, and we also see Clifford closing the gap there. Wonder if Arena Negrini did that mistake himself, or if he was forced off track there, or at least blocked a bit. Not quite sure. There's Max Bellman also dropping back. And to him, very slowly, coming around the last corner. Action all over the place right now.
Yeah, he just lost a lot of positions. McKean coming into the pits though. First person in. So we'll see whether that pays off for him. Interesting, Negrini obviously going on the grass, because he is currently holding the fastest lap. He got a 37.0, which is obviously matching the pace of Berticelli Rodeo. So we know he's got the pace in that car, but I guess he was just pushing it a little too hard on that corner, which sends him wide.
Yeah, it's always hard, and being on the edge here, especially on this track, if you miss the banking, then you can't really run the same speed mid-corner at apex as you would normally do. Let's look into what happened to Negrini, because we only saw it like at the edge of our vision previously. So that's Negrini behind De Oliveira Rodriguez, trying to close the gap. 5th gear, flat out. That was a bit late on the brakes. Yep, that was... I wonder if he was really too late, or everyone else bunched up. And because you saw it, he had to open the brake once again to steer past De Oliveira Rodriguez, to not punt him from the back. And it obviously cost some very vital meters here in terms of braking for that braking zone.
Yeah, just double checking the penalties, obviously, because they normally come when the pit stop, after the pit stop will come through. So there are 2 15-second penalties currently out there. So car number 8 is obviously Moreira picking up a 15-second penalty. That's for the original collision caused a lap 1 pile-up. So he's getting penalised for that. I don't understand that myself. And then car number 8 for contact and spin of number 15, which is Calvo. But wasn't it Moreira that got punted in the first place? I'm confused. So how is Moreira the one getting penalised when he was the one that got spun?
I don't see an in-game penalty just yet, so I'm not quite sure if that's
so car number 9 as well. So Hardison. So well, hold on a minute. So Hardison was the one that spun Moreira. Yeah, this is in the race control spreadsheet. I can see them coming. The penalties will come after the pit stop. That's when the 15-second penalties will be handed out in game, but they are there and they are coming. But it was Hardison that spun Moreira. I guess maybe Moreira went into somebody else afterwards, into Calvo, but we didn't obviously follow it through. We just saw it where he got spun.
Yeah, it's like from what we saw was definitely Moreira getting spun around by Hardison. Talking about drivers, Dave Jr., someone that we did not have on camera today at all, currently sitting in 11th position, right behind Camille and in front of Riley. Riley obviously on his comeback run here from an awful incident in the first sprint race. Probably a disconnect from the steering wheel that puts him that far back. But he's trying his best here to get back in shape. Ryan Rudrow still trying to defend 4th place against Roberto. Seems like he can't keep up with Oliveira. He's doing the best he can, and we're sending Roberto once again to the outside in turn 1. You see it there. There's absolutely no chance. No matter how quick you are, no matter how good you are on the brakes, I can't see this happening as long as the car in front, on the inside doesn't do a big mistake. And seeing how close Roberto is, this one is heating up because Roberto is definitely quicker. And we also see that Ryan Woodrow is currently not up to the pace of Oliveira.
Yeah, and obviously there was a warning in the previous race, which was the contact of side car. So that was when they door banged. Effectively, it was a warning was given, but it was kind of a racing incident more than anything. Obviously, that was Roberto in the previous race. But as it stands, that's Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez has actually just had a look. He's the black and blue trim car behind, so keep your eye out for him, because obviously he got 2nd place and in the sprint race, and there's obviously one of the top drivers in there. That's some deep braking, and Igor having a little peek at that one. He thought about it on Roberto there, but had to get on it. Would have put him out of position, but yeah, I think Roberto's realised he needs to be defensive rather than attacking Woodrow now.
Yeah, it's like, especially with that mistake, he really opened up wide there for De Oliveira Rodriguez, and we know that he's a quick driver. He should be probably leading this pack right now in terms of raw pace, but instead he realized he's losing too much time behind Roberto Woodrow, and probably also thinks it might get a bit too risky. So he pulled into the pits early. I think that's a good call. When you're as quick as De Oliveira Rodriguez currently within like the group in general, but you can't really spread your wings because you're still stuck in traffic.
So Negrini, McKean, Calvo, and Bauman all pitted already. As you mentioned, Igor's just gone in the pits to Oliveira Rodriguez, so he's going to check himself in there as well. They have to take that one mandatory pit stop. They can do whenever the hell they like. Doesn't need to be early or late or anywhere like that. There's no sort of gap in there effectively. They can do it whenever they please and whenever it works out. Will the undercut pay off? Well, it has done actually in the past. On the last few weeks we've had, the undercut has been really the most favourable one that's paid off the most. We haven't had too many late ones sort of running, or the overcut, if whichever you prefer to call it. Dave Jr. though, under some serious pressure from Eri Riley now. Looks like he may be able to get around the outside. That could be the first outside move we see. Riley thought about it. If he'd have been able to get the car tucked in, would have had the inside line now, but it was just a little too much to ask for, I think.
Yes, it's like this around the outside is just so hard to do here. So defending on Zandvoort is, I would say, quite simple for a racetrack, because there are not many opportunities to run the other way around, right? We know when we talk about Monza T1, there is a chance to make it work on the outside. There's a chance to make it work on the inside. And Zandvoort is the complete opposite. There's only a chance to make it work on the inside. So how do you get your car on the inside? One opportunity is obviously staying behind as long as possible and then trying to launch it on the inside as late as possible. But we also know that most drivers already cover up the inside. Talking about what most drivers are doing. It seems like pitting is the thing to do. Harry Hardison comes in. Not yet half of the grid pitted, so that's still to be considered an early pit stop here, I would say. A leading car by Betticelli Rodeo is still out there, did not pit either, but already created a 2-second gap to Vinny Oliveira. So I think Betticelli is doing an amazing job right now, coming 8th in the sprint race, and now really using everything that was given to him for the main race.
So the first penalty will come through on Hardison once he concludes that pit stop. That will be the 15 seconds for the punt on Moreira in the opening lap. Ryan Woodrow still doing a grand job at holding position, and this is more backing up what I was talking about with Hardison, who obviously now is going to be picking up the penalty, but at the time could have been started in that pole position. So now it's gone from starting in 9th, picking up a penalty, to potentially being the race leader, like Bertuccelli Rodeo is now, who obviously overtaken him, and putting in the times. And we're seeing how hard it is to overtake. So even if he'd have maybe lost that first position early on or at the start or something like that, he almost certainly would have been within that top 8 if he'd have just been able to hold station, because he's certainly able to keep pace with these guys. Obviously he would have been a bit more defensive, which we're seeing in some of these guys. Moreira, look at his way, he's carving his way back through the pack, isn't he? From last up to 10th already, and well, I think he's going to get the move done here on Riley as it switches to Clifford. I don't want to see that. I want to see Moreira.
Keep in mind that Moreira obviously did not pit, so he only really gained 1 position, I would say, on track, and making this 2 right now. Against Riley, as Riley opens up the inside, realizing Moreira is definitely a lot quicker than him. And you see, it's like as soon as you get the car on the inside, it is working out. We don't know how much the aero damage to Fidel's car currently hinders his lap time, because you can see that sometimes when we get a bit closer with the camera, the front end is definitely damaged. And the bumper's not how it should be, but so far it seems at least around 10th position, he can definitely keep up. Now up to 9th. Obviously after the move on Riley, looking good, but that's only 2 people behind him that did not pit. Everyone else is just behind because they already did their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, but when he'd spun, he was so far back, so the fact that he's gained back up to these guys, and I think we're going to see him working his way through the pack now. Obviously, as the pit stops obviously is going to be a count, and he's going to be well outside the top 10 to start with, but I think, with 30 minutes to go, this is probably, for him, with absolutely nothing to lose, probably the most fun he's having it. Well, maybe not when he punts Dave Jr. like that. And now he's kind of like, get out the way. Get out the way. Don't catch Don Rodriguez. Mocha moaning as well coming through. Don't catch him off guard. But, oh well, that's going to be another penalty.
Yeah, it seems like with Fidel Moreira, it is a bit hit and miss, right? He's an absolute quick driver, incredible lap times, but if we just look at the overall statistics, he's also prone to either be involved in accidents or incidents, or he picks up penalties. So if he wants to win, or let's be real here, we're also talking about a place within Lamborghini eSports. If he wants to be in a professional team, you have to learn how to manage your car and manage your pace and manage your race as well. It's not enough to be quick in terms of lap times, because in the race the guys are doing, right, to Kill Army, they're now heading over to the 24 hours of Spa with Lamborghini. You need a driver where you're sure you get the car back, maybe with losing 1 position, that's still way better than getting it back either damaged or with a lot of penalties on.
Yeah, absolutely. Cuts or something like that, you don't want the penalties adding up. They can, especially when we're talking obviously SRO endurance, stuff like that, which obviously the team have been taking part in. Penalties can add up pretty quickly over a 24-hour race. It's almost certain you will get a penalty at some point. It's not a case of when, you will. Josh McKean, though, he's, well, just going about his business, isn't he? Obviously, he was involved in an incident and got spun earlier as well. Just sort of working his way back through it now. If anything, the pit stop's starting to come through as we close in on the halfway marker. Is that going to be... Nope, I thought he was about to... I thought Roberto was thinking of diving for the pits there and was maybe trying to bait Woodrow or just keep the draft. I'm not too sure. Hardison under pressure. That's Negrini coming back behind him. Negrini obviously currently, or had set the fastest lap. Not anymore. Igor has done that with a 36.8, but Negrini's fastest, a 37.0, is half a second faster than Hardison's 37.4 so far.
I tell you, it was a good decision by De Oliveira Rodriguez to now pit super early, being one of the first cars, get out of traffic, and he proves it, right? He now gets the fast lap times in. He's obviously lucky with Morera being spun earlier. So as long as he keeps going with the current pace, and why not? The track is open, as long as he can keep concentration up, there's a high chance that he will just be given position after position after position when all of these drivers in front of him have to pull into the pit.
Yeah, and he is, I'm talking Igor De Oliveira Rodriguez, he is posting average 37.0 average lap. So that is most people's fastest lap, as Negrini looks like he gets it done on Hardison, absolutely will, in and around the outside, inside there. Hardison left the door open for him, in fairness, and Negrini said thank you very much, went through, wiped his feet on the carpet, and away he goes.
Now let's see, we just got an info about another replay coming in, hopefully of what we just witnessed. Let's see, but Negrini, now not really the positions we normally see him in, right? I mean, he could be quicker than that, and he's a candidate for a top 5 finish, but it is a slightly different race here in Zandvoort, especially what happened early on in the race. We still have 25 minutes to go, but so we're not even halfway through just yet. Barely. 50 seconds for Hardison. We obviously talked about that right after his pit stop. He got them for what happened previously, but this is Fidel Morera's on board. What's he doing? Oh, he was just understeering, basically. He pushed over the front tires. So he either didn't want to steer in harder, or he just couldn't because the car was pushing too much over the front tires, and therefore missed the track there, went through the dirt, and then lost a little bit of time. Obviously, the front damage could play a role here. We talked about that previously. Hard for us to judge here from the outside how the car is driven currently, how good it still feels. Don't want to put the blame fully on Fidel Morera here, but it will be a tough race for him. And he's currently still last from the people that didn't pit. And I wonder, after all the pit stops are out of the way, where he will find himself.
Apologies for that. It's cutting away. Auto director just threw me a dummy there. I was like, oh, we're going to get to see where the Hardison's going to take the move. And then we all got baited and it switched the camera on. I guess he had already decided, like, nope, ahead of us. But here comes Roberto coming in. It looks like Karnin behind him as well, also coming into the pit. So everyone's starting to take those mandatory pit stops now. We are at the halfway stage, so expect to see more and more of those happening. And the Greenie, obviously, he had that runoff earlier on, so we'll see how this pays off for himself. And obviously Igor going to try and run as fast and hard as they can in the open track that they have now. For Negrini, what's he running? A 37.8 the last lap, so not a great lap. Whereas Rodriguez 37.4, so actually a slow one for him, considering he's been averaging 37.0 flats before that. But Hardison still keeping the pressure on. We'll see whether he can keep it up as everybody starts to take their mandatory pit stops.
Talk about keeping the pressure on. I had a quick look at the standings again, and currently in 15th, so the last spot that makes it into the grand final would be David Calvo, 10 points. Gustavo Camillo also 10 points, but listed at 16th. But Camillo obviously currently in 5th. He obviously didn't pit yet, so let's see where he will finish. And Max Baumann is still in 17th, 1 point behind. So with every Riley being 14th, every Hardison being 13th, and getting the 15-second pit stop, Moening in 12th, we're talking about a 3-point difference. It's not yet decided who actually makes it into the grand final with all these drivers, because one of them has to drop out.
Yeah, and a little unfortunate for Calvo, because obviously he got spun by Moreira at the start, so which is why he's so far down. after that. Josh McKean putting some pressure on Karnin here. So Karnin's just come out the pits. And he took a really long pit stop. So didn't he go in directly behind Roberto? He did, right? And Roberto's come out so much further ahead than Karnin has. Like, way earlier.
Yeah, it's quite surprising if they might had different different strategies in terms of tires, maybe, but rarely see that actually here.
Yeah, no, he's multiple seconds difference. He's way down. Actually went too hot on the brakes there. That's McKean, so not going to be able to get past him this time. As they continue to chase, let's not forget Hardison has that 15-second penalty, so everybody wants to stay sort of tucked in on him and try and keep as close as you can. I'm just keeping my eye on where things fall out. There is Igor going through, and there is Bertuccelli Rodeo further back. And just, actually, no, Igor has passed him. He's passed him in the pits.
Yes, like I said, I think...
I was just seeing him. I'm almost... Yeah, that's him behind him. So Igor, I'm almost certain he's going to be first. Yeah, well, he is now.
Yes, like, it was the perfect call for him. He knew that he was the quickest car with Moreira having the damage and being all the way in the back. So, getting out of traffic, making sure that he can just run laps on his own, and really lay down those fast lap times and personal bests, it pays off big now for him. I think this will just lead him to be first. It's like, it will be the winning decision, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, Vinny Oliveira, Ryan Woodrow are the only two that are also coming in for the pits now. They're the only two that can challenge him. I just feel like Undercut, once again, has paid off so much. And obviously, let's not forget, he's also been absolutely pounding the laps. 37.0 again. Almost every single lap, half a second faster than everyone else on the circuit. So if he can keep that sort of pace up, then yes, obviously it's paid off. And I think Bertuccelli Rodeo is probably quite surprised maybe that he's come in the pits, because Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, before he went in the pits, was around about 5th or 6th, wasn't he? He wasn't, I think he was still about 6th when he went actually in the pits. So still a long way down. With a lot of work to do, but here's everybody else going in the pits, so keep our eye on Vinny Oliveira and Ryan Woodrow where they are when they come out the pits. There's Vinny Oliveira just coming out now as I battle with the system. Well, Igor and Bertuccelli Rodeo already through. There is Bertuccelli Rodeo just ahead of him. So actually they've come out a lot closer. So Bertuccelli obviously had a really long pit stop, I kind of feel, for them to be as close as they were, because Woodrow and Vinny Oliveira were not this close on the track, because he'd actually built himself up a pretty decent lead.
Yeah, it was 2 seconds, I think, at the point where he came in.
So also Roberto has managed to pass Woodrow in that pit stop as well. So Philippe Roberto getting it done. Obviously he was on the back of Ryan Woodrow when he came in the pits, so he's managed to get past there. Also Negrini very much on the heels of Ryan Woodrow as well now, so Negrini actually putting in some good laps and has actually made it pay off. You can see the gap he's already created between himself and Hardison behind.
Yeah, it would still be very interesting here to see how all of this plays out, and I absolutely love how the undercut worked so far, but it also, as you said, that Oliveira was a bit closer to Bertuccelli Rodeo, although the gap is already up to 1.5 seconds again. Renan and Negrini looking at Ryan Woodrow. Woodrow so far had to mostly defend, I would say. Since the start, started in second, and so far he was always passed through to the back. And Renan Negrini, after having a bit of a struggle, then cutting the track slightly because he had to work around misjudgment in terms of braking, now wants to come back. Moreira 15 seconds, Haas 50 seconds. That's the only penalties we have so far. And yeah, once again it hits probably the fastest, or at least one of the 2 fastest drivers on the track with Moreira. Felipe Roberto now on the inside of Vinny Oliveira, pushing through in turn 1. So once again he was able to get the inside there and move to the front. No, wait. That's not Ryan Woodrow behind. No, it isn't.
It is. It is.
Ryan Woodrow.
Yeah, it was. He overtook him in the pit, so Woodrow was having a little go there to see whether it could work out. But
it didn't work out on the outside again. So yeah, it was the other. We cut in a way that was like, oh wait, this is Roberto attacking, but it wasn't, because that is the car, obviously, the dark grey with Brett of Ryan Woodrow.
Yeah. And actually, while that's happening, it's actually giving the Greenie a chance to catch on. You can see how much that has actually backfired, if anything, there. But Oliveira, so Andrew losing a spare bit of time. Yeah, Vinny Oliveira was the one that was actually in there. So Roberto getting it done, and now chasing down Butticelli Rodeo. See whether he can maybe catch up. But the Greenie still got Hardison. Hardison's staying in there. I mean, I keep going back to it, but I'm really sorry for Hardison losing that 8th spot, because he could have bounced his points up so much more than he actually has, the position he's in, because he's clearly obviously got the pace to stay with these guys and keep defending and maybe challenging. Yes, he's lost a couple of places here and there, and obviously picked up that penalty from the very first lap, but outside of that, he could have been such a different story for a man who is, well, battling for points. Like, he only had 9 points at the start of the day, so anything and everything he can get here. Carnahan, though, should be able to get past him here, going up the inside. Hardison has left the door wide open for him, so Carnahan should be able to squeeze on round, and it's easy as I like in turn 1.
Yeah, it's like quite close to what they are right now, and you're absolutely right about Hardison's. Like, he could have been in a better position, and he's now in 14th overall, so 13th overall. So he's still looking at defending, getting his spot for the grand final. If he loses out too much today, then he might not even go through, and then he would need to go through the last chance qualifier again. Another driver that faces that would be Michael Munich, right? He's 12th. He's right in front of Hardison.
Well, yeah, Moreira right on his tailpipes here. Michael Munich, but obviously Moreira with that 15-second penalty, he's just having fun right now. As much as he can with the penalties. He's got to be careful. You know, he's still got to make sure you're clean. It's all well and good having the points, but if you make yourself a bit of a nuisance on the track, then you're certainly going to get the eye of the race officials come the final. That's for sure. So he needs to make sure he keeps it clean as clean as he can. Did get a warning, by the way, for his last excursion. Carnahan now up into the top 8 after his overtake on Hardison's, trying to chase down the Greenie, seeing if he can get anything on him. Eri Riley still making sure he can keep a couple of laps on the lead as that lead man, but it's almost certainly going to cost him in terms of places staying out this long. 30 minutes now on that same set. And obviously the man behind him, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, doing laps almost 3 seconds faster a lap at the moment. So Riley definitely going to get caught in a few.
Yes, I mean, Riley is still on the old tyres. De Oliveira Rodriguez probably on a fresh set of rubber out there on the track. But there's also the skill gap that we have to mention, right? De Oliveira Rodriguez, one of the quickest drivers that we have in the NOLA region. Just doing a good job, and totally paid out for him how he handled the entire the entire situation of mandatory pit stop in this feature race. Really looking forward to our second race in Silverstone, where we do another 50-minute sprint and do another 45-minute feature, to see if he got his strategy spot on there as well, depending on what to do, because he had to adapt probably with what happened early in the race. And someone that has to adapt to defending now is still Michael Munich, because Fidel Moreira is pushing, and he's pushing hard after everything that happened, and with having another 15 seconds onto him as a penalty as well. He wants to get by Michael Munich, and he wants to start chasing down Camillo, who's currently sitting in 12.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for Moreira, who's up against the, I mean, it's safe to say the back markers at the moment. Obviously, he's race out of position, that he needs to obviously be careful of perhaps their break points being a little bit different when they are, you know, following so close behind. That maybe, I mean, that's what happened when I think it was Calvo he caught, right, when he basically went into the back of him. He just wasn't expecting him to brake maybe so early, and was just a little on it. But that is your responsibility as a driver following behind, right? It's on you. It's not the guy in front. If he brakes early, it's not his fault. If you catch him, it's your fault. You need to be the one that's prepared for it. And sometimes it does catch you off guard. Doesn't look like he's going to get a position this time. Only he's going to hold that spot. Just showing how tricky it is to overtake here. Moreira can't get it done.
Yeah, it's like the speed difference should be huge between these two. So yeah, it just proves how tricky the entirety of Zandvoort is, and that everything that you want to manage and every overtake that you want to create really has to be properly planned out, and then build the situation where you can finally get the inside of that corner to make the move stick.
Well, the Greenie has Carnahan on him now. We did see, obviously, Carnahan getting past Hardison earlier on. And the Greenie, who was trying to make a breakaway here and actually was doing a good job at chasing down Ryan Woodrow. Woodrow has kind of got himself settled, it seems. And the Greenie had a bit of a loose lap. 37.9 the last lap. As opposed to everyone around him, 37.3, 37.4, 37.5. So, yeah, it's a bit of a loose one the last lap. So, lost half a second somewhere, maybe just a little lapse in concentration, missing a break point perhaps, or just getting a little slip on the exit. And that's put Carnahan very much in his rear mirror. And the pressure will be on. Back to Moaning and Moreira. Well, they are continuing on and continuing to really point out how hard it is to get past someone on this track.
Yeah, it's massive work. Normally we see Fidel Moreira not even taking 2 or 3 corners to make a move, and now it's multiple laps here in Zandvoort, so it is a completely different story. Not even into turn 1 now. Oh, I think it was a bit late on the brakes, wasn't it?
It's interesting to see, obviously, the differential between here and Silverstone. Silverstone, a wide open track with multiple overtake points all over the circuit, as opposed to effectively 1, maybe 2 spots where you can sort of pick it off and maybe try and get it there. But we've just been told that, Berticelli Rodeo has gained 0.3 a lap, but let's face it, it's more, I think, Igor just positioning himself. A 37.6 as opposed to a 37.3 is not going to be a big difference. Roberto also done the 37.3 behind him. They are just keeping station at the moment. Further down, we see Gustav Camilo with Michael Moaning and Ferreira now. So this Moreira battle has actually caught up with Camilo, who seems to be going, well, pretty darn slow. A 38.8 as opposed to 37.4s behind him from both Moaning and Moreira, who've been battling it out. To suddenly catch up on someone going so much slower than they are is going to cause a bit of a train, a bit of an incident, and maybe cause some problems to try and get past.
Yeah, see, look at that train that they created now with Moreira in the back, and he's probably furious right now. He's looking full way around Moaning, but so far there wasn't any, and Moaning is not doing any mistake, which I really have to give him points to, right? I mean, he got Fidel Moreira in the back, and he did not break late into any corner. He did not create any issues for himself. He's just doing an incredible job at keeping his position.
He just completely outbraked himself there, did he, Moaning? I think he did. He's left it a little bit open, but again, you just can't get the power on. Even going in the position there, that looked like it was very close to rear-ending him. Moaning, though, managing to hang on. I think Moreira just missed his opportunity there, mispicked it. Was perhaps looking to see where Moaning goes. Moaning positioned himself kind of like, he's not going inside, not going outside, just parked it in the middle. I think which is what caused Moaning to go so hard on the brakes.
At the front, we will see that Berticelli is still decreasing the gap to De Oliveira Rodriguez. So I wonder, with 8.5 minutes, if there's any chance to put 2.5 seconds. I think that is too much of a gap, unless De Oliveira Rodriguez makes a mistake.
I think he's just maintaining it, isn't he? I think De Oliveira Rodriguez, I don't think he's overdoing it. Still keeping 37.4s in there. Looks like Moreira's got it done on Moaning there. So finally gets himself passed up into 12th. Of course, still carrying that penalty. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. But to a natural-born racer like Fidel Moreira, it's going to mean a hell of a lot, because he wants to get past these cars and prove that he can do it. Even if anything to himself. Obviously, everybody's been in that situation. You practice, you prep, you work at it. Especially for this race, they would have known this track for many weeks coming into this, and to have get punted at the start of the first lap. Everybody's been there. It is so frustrating, and basically he's just in his zone right now. He just wants to overtake, get it done, carry on, get on to the next track. And looks like he's got it done here. Finally gets straight past. As soon as he gets past one, he gets past the other.
Yeah,
though.
Sometimes it's all about the rhythm, right? You get out of shape again if you have to slow down, if you have to go for earlier braking points again to the car in front of you. And that just doesn't make the entire task here easier. But Fidel Moreira still on Camillo. And as he said, like, he wants to do that fast, and he has the raw pace. But setting up something here is just so hard, and that little fleet definitely cost him time.
Yeah, I think he baited him into trying to go wide and defend, and got to be careful he doesn't get caught out. Trying to go around the outside here, Moreira. He needs to be careful that he doesn't lose that back position as well, because let's not forget Mooning up behind, but Camillo is, well, let's face it, he is defending. He's defending for all his life right now.
Which is fine. I mean, he deserves the spot just like any other driver does, right? And Fidel Moreira also has the 15 seconds, so on the other hand, Camillo could just let Moreira go. As long as he keeps close to him, he would still get the position in the end.
Yeah, I mean, just patience. Patience is all he needs. Speaking of patience, Josh McKean. He's just been doing his own little thing, hasn't he? Up into 9th position at the moment, into the top 10, just chugging round. Got the points in the bag from the first 2 races. Hasn't really had to put any pressure on him. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. Maybe that's proven that he's very good in the wet. I'm not too sure. Obviously, we don't know what we're going to get for the finals yet. So maybe that's just something that could highlight for him, or whether he's just not running at 100% today because he just doesn't need to. But as you said, you know, everyone's a racer in this. They're in competition. Moreira really trying to force it. I think he should get it done here. He's finally got himself the inside. Will be on the out, but then straight back on the in again. And yeah, he gets it done this time around. Oh, he's gone too hot on the brakes. He's gone too hot on the brakes. Is he going to get it back?
Big chance here for Camillo.
He's going to lose 2.
Look how open the door is.
2.
Oh my goodness me, that was Moreira just doing a huge mistake, but he will have the inside against Mooning at least, so we'll slot in between them. But there's another car joining, which is Eric Riley. Eric Riley all of a sudden being back at this pack here and trying to join Moreira, Mooning, and Camillo, and this now creates an even better fighting group for us.
Yeah, they're all stacking up behind Camillo here. Oh, Eric Riley. Oh, that was almost a stab in the inside. Got to be careful there. And I think that's certainly woken Michael Mooning's eyes up a little bit, realising the situation. Moreira running wide there, getting an off track, I think. Probably he went pretty down wide on that. That's going to actually put him a little out of position. He's going to be side by side. Tries to go up the inside. Almost forced into the pits there as he... well, I think the door was soundly shut on him. I think that's the best way I can put it there. But Moreira not being given any chance to get past.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that Moreira by now...
that was inevitable. That was inevitable, I think.
That was not great. Obviously, Camillo wasn't as quick as Moreira, but that's just not how you do it. And that's why I said, it's like, if you want to be a professional sim racer and you want to do the next step, then this is part of growing, right? Like how to behave on track and how to live with sometimes very frustrating races for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was almost inevitable. I don't know whether he did it on purpose, but he was running that close to him that it was almost inevitable that something like that was bound to happen. Running as close as they were. Back towards the top 10 though. Negrini currently running in 6th place. Oh, Moreira, what's happened here? What's happened here? He's just lost all the positions. Mooning, Riley, Camillo, Dave Jr. all gone past.
It's a race to forget here in Zandvoort. For Moreira, I'm pretty sure that the broadcast team will grab us a replay of that. Ryan Woodrow kind of lost contact to basically everyone. Negrini is 5.5 seconds back, and Woodrow is also following a bit more than 4 seconds to Oliveira. Seems like it's just a bit too quick for him. 2.2 seconds to from Berticelli to De Oliveira Rodriguez. Even though with Roberto right behind now, so that's below half a second. So these two will fight, and then we'll kind of keep Berticelli away from De Oliveira Rodriguez. And to be honest, it's also the time factor. 2.5 minutes, just not enough for Marcelo to really close the gap here.
Yeah, I think honestly Igor De Oliveira Rodriguez was just simply minding the gap. That's all he was doing there. Don't think he was ever under too much pressure. Still holds that fastest lap, albeit only just. Didn't actually break into the 36s yet, which is somewhat surprising now that towards the end here. Fuel will be low. But Chile Rodeo, as you said, just needs to be a little cautious. Does have Felipe Roberto behind him, although in terms of points, both these guys all very much secure. Just a case of where they stand on that podium towards the end of this main race with 2 minutes to go. Dave Jr. getting involved. He's on the tail end of Camillo now, as is Moreira. Moreira, well, frustrated or not, he's going to be carrying that penalty as well. So just not too sure why he pulled off to the side, but he's got himself past Dave Jr. It looks like here should be up on the inside as he gets the job done. Provided Junior does tuck him behind him, and they will just do that.
Yeah, it's like I said, we know that Moreira is quicker than that, but everything has to work out for you. Sometimes it doesn't, and then you have to handle the situation. And I fear that Moreira might run into another 50 seconds of penalty. And then all of this is for nothing. It's 15-second drops him behind Calvo in 16th. So
that was considered a racing incident, by the way.
Oh, was it?
The
Okay.
Moreira incident, yeah. Just felt that both cars were slowed out of the corner, nowhere for Moreira to go, as 13 comes around the corner, resulting in contact. So yeah, so that's what they felt there. Oliveira is, well, it's telling me that he actually just took over on Roberto. Yeah, I was going to say, it's telling me that he took over Roberto there, and I didn't see them being close, so I've got to assume that Felipe Roberto just went either hot on the brakes somewhere or just completely did himself, because, well, Vinny Oliveira's through into third place, and we were talking about the chance. I've got to assume it's when he was having a go, because he was, the last we saw him, he was on the back of Botticelli Rodeo, wasn't he? So I've got to assume he went for a move and it's backfired horribly, and now he finds himself off the podium.
Yeah, must have been, because like I said, he was below half a second to Botticelli Rodeo, and that's how quick things can change.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, and well, Khan needs to be cautious as well, as he's looking to try and make the move, but we are coming up to the final lap. Igor de Oliveira Rodrigo absolutely smashing this one out the park from 7th position on the grid, as expected, second in the sprint race. Ooh, Jonathan Clifford can't get the power down. Yeah, he can't get it down. He's trying to be so careful that he didn't wipe out Josh McKean there, who's the driver in front of him. Just got to be careful. Obviously, didn't want to slide into the back of him. But great to see Jonathan Clifford putting a bit more pressure on Josh McKean, though, towards the end here in the final lap.
Yeah, it seems like he has a great car right now, and the tyres are still playing well for him. And he can keep up with McKean, and maybe even something's open a gap. But it is the last lap, and the man to watch is Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, current leader in the standings. So he took it away from Josh McKean with the previous sprint race, or let's say both are in 66 points. If Oliveira Rodriguez now crosses the line, then obviously he is the leading driver in the Nala region. So we'll definitely see him again in the grand final. And with Botticelli Rodeo also proving that he's a very, very fast driver. Currently 5th in the standings, but what he showed in terms of decreasing the gap to De Oliveira Rodriguez was massive. But there he is, Oliveira Rodriguez cooling down the tires. iRacing style here on the straight, crossing the line as the winner of our 45-minute feature race here. Our last ever race on Zandvoort for the group stages, followed by Botticelli Rodeo, then Oliveira, Roberto, and Woodrow, who just crossed the line, followed by Negrini, Carlin, and then it will be Hardison, although Hardison will face that 15-second penalty.
Yeah, and that means obviously Josh McKean, Jonathan Clifford all going past. Even perhaps Michael Mooney? No, I think he's too far back. So I think it's probably going to be a 10th position for Hardison. Michael Mooney now coming up to the line, so long way back after that. Obviously was involved in all the battles. Speaking of battles, what is this going on back here? Harry Riley goes over, Camillo goes over, and Moreira in the end with 14th. And they all pile into each other on the end there as... I wouldn't say a celebratory finish, I think more frustration.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw some frustration here, and Zandvoort is a tough track, and due to how it's built, you saw that there, you have to be single file all the time, there are not many overtaking opportunities, and then frustration can get you if you know that you're the quicker driver, but being a top runner also means handling that and playing the mental game and being strong in it, and I think we see Fidel Moreira struggling with it, and maybe seeing him struggle way harder than what we see on the previous season. So it will be very interesting in which shape he will be for the grand final.
Yeah, I mean, if you cast your mind back to last season, he was pressured, I would say, throughout, all the way to the end of the season. So even into the last race, that was the closest championship we actually had outside of APAC and EMEA, because they were both pretty much runaway victories. So Moreira was under pressure in that one. Maybe just took his eye off the ball a little bit here, and as you say, once you get spun, it can be frustrating. We've all been there. It's happened to me literally today, this morning. So I know how annoying it is. But obviously, you just got to reset your mind. And as you say, from this competition, we're looking at potentially, becoming a real driver for these esports teams. The eyeballs are on you. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be clean.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's what teams everywhere nowadays look for, right? It's one thing that you're super quick, and all of that can be practiced as well. Like getting the last 10th to really be the fastest driver, but being consistent and playing the mic games right, and not showing frustration, and then due to that throwing away the race, because I think that's what Moreira did here, throwing away points, and sometimes it can be crucial. It isn't this time, because Moreira will be through to the grand final. I'm absolutely sure about that, but it's just, it could be different in the grand final, right? Then 1 point could be the deciding factor. So I really hope that he will get back to what he was in the previous season, and will be able to score solid points. We will head into a short break, coming back with the standings after our first 2 races here in Zandvoort, and then we will leave the Netherlands, pack everything up, all the cars onto the planes, and then over to the UK for another race at Silverstone. 50-minute sprint, 45-minute feature race, the last in the NALA region, before we head into the grand final. All of that after the break. back with a Lamborghini The Real Race, and we already finished our race at Zandvoort. So if you missed those, then you can watch the replay a bit later on here on YouTube, so don't worry about that. But we're getting ready for Silverstone, a brand new track, a brand new challenge for all other drivers. We already have our 15 grand finalists from EMEA, we have them from APAC, and we're still looking for them in the NALA region. So here is our upcoming track.
Hello everybody, my name is Gianfranco Giglioli, official Automobili Lamborghini eSports driver, and today we are in Great Britain for a lap in Silverstone. Let's go on board with me. So here we are, totally flat out to the first corner, which is the Cops, from 6th. We can touch all the curbs because they are very flat, so you can use all the track. Obviously you have to be careful with the cut. Then the most exciting part, the S's. 5th gear to the first one, then 4th, and then also 3rd because it's difficult to make the car turn. So very smooth on the pedal. Again to the hangar straight. 6th gear. Be careful with a bump in the outside of the braking zone. 3rd gear, use all the track, then the chicane, the club chicane. 2nd gear, stay wide and then close. Try to use all the possibility of the track. Again, 4th gear, 5th, and we stay in 5th to go to 4th here. This is a very tricky corner. And we go flat out, we try, and from 5th to 2nd, very close to the apex, understeer and oversteer in the exit of the corner. Yeah, it's very tricky. And then again, 1st gear, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and we go to the opposite straight. To the last part of the track, from 6th, we stay wide and then stretch. And stay close, a lot of oversteer here in braking zone. I was totally flat out. 2nd, again, difficult moment to handle the car, and smooth on the throttle, and again use all the track also in the inside, and to finish the lap. And that was all for Silverstone. I hope you liked the video. I wish good luck to all the drivers and enjoy with the real race. Bye bye.
Use all the track, or sometimes part of the curbs when it comes to Silverstone, Lee. And this is a UK venue. It's an iconic one. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the important thing to remember is the start line's not where it is on the graphic there. It is actually on the top left-hand side. It obviously where it's showing on the graphic is the Formula 1 start position, which was the new position from around about 2015, maybe a little bit earlier, I'm not too sure. Somewhere around there where they built the new straight. The GT3 start position is actually on the far left. So Cops is the first corner that you go into, which we just saw obviously from that lap there. Definitely tricky sections in there. Obviously, you saw him almost losing it in Brooklands towards the end there. You could see how much he was fighting the car. Lots of fast sections as well, as the graphic said right at the start. It's the fastest GT3 track on the schedule in the circuit. So it's a very quick track. Lots of positions to overtake. Lots of positions to make mistakes. It's just a fantastic track. I know you hate it. You find it boring, don't you?
I just like something with a bit more elevation change.
Yeah, it's flat.
In real life, I drove there. It's a cool track, but I still prefer something like Spa or Nürburgring, where it goes up and down a bit.
It's an old airfield, so obviously it's a flat
should be
circuit.
flat.
Yeah.
Would be a great start. It is certainly a track where you have a lot of corners it's really hard to get braking right, because at least for me, it's always easier to really step on the brakes hard, get the car to stop, right, then throw it into the corner. But a lot of here is kind of slightly tapping the brake, shifting down a gear so the engine brake kicks in, then take the car, the corner basically flat out. And it will be interesting to see if everyone, especially in traffic, is up to that task, because all of that changes once you're behind another car and picking up a bit dirty air.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, outside of elevation changes, it kind of has everything. Obviously, the long straights, the smooth handling effectively through Maggots, Beckett's, and towards the end there of it's Chapel, isn't it, the exit? Then you go into the back into Anger Straight, so you have to have that clean exit to get that power on the straight. Then you have those tight sections when you go through the village sort of area, which is the newer section, so you have that hard on the brakes, that low second gear cornering. So it's kind of got everything in there, other than the elevation changes.
Yeah,
let's have a look at standings.
Max and Backers will be an interesting place to watch. What's also interesting to watch before the race are the standings. So let's see, these are overall standings. So after all the races we had so far, it's now Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez leading with 91 points in front of Josh McKean, who lost a lot of ground with subpar results, I think we can call them, as a point leader previously. And here it's Zandvoort, so he will try to make up, maybe. Fidel Moreira, who also had at least a feature race to forget about in Zandvoort. Then Felipe Roberto, and then Marcelo Berticelli Rodeo, who showed us that he can go the pace of Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez today, at least in Zandvoort. So that's a battle I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, the important one for me is the next set. It's obviously the 15th place that we really need to sort of focus on. Obviously, that's the cutoff today in terms of standings, and obviously that's where the real focus is. At the moment, look how tight it is. 16 points down to, 1 point obviously for Fernando Deutsch. He's not here today. Gustavo Rodriguez on 10 points. So it's pretty tight. Any sort of mistake will absolutely cost you. For Max Baumann, he's absolutely want to get some points in there. He is here today, so obviously outside of it. David Calvo, he got spun in the last race, in the main race, so unfortunately for him, didn't score great in the points, so he's somebody that really wants to try and benefit from today here in the last chance, effectively, the final sprint race and the final main race before we reach the finals. And outside of that last chance qualifier that, it's going to be cutthroat, let's face it. All the drivers that turn up, it's only the winner that will go through.
Yeah, it's like the last chance qualifier will not be an easy one, even if you think you're the quickest driver on that grid with, only the limited chances and only the winner making the throw. Better not rely on it. Better try to put some work in here today on the last track for the group stages at Silverstone, trying to grab some points and getting it done early rather than going to the last chance qualifier. Talking about getting it done early, we'll see if Fidel Moreira can overcome what happened to him in Zandvoort. And another one is definitely McKean for me. See if he's, just if Zandvoort was just not his thing. Beach holidays, maybe it's more one for his skiing or whatever. Going elsewhere, trying to grab points here in the UK. And as I said already, it is the fastest track in the GT3 calendar that we have. And making contact here in the quick sections will certainly lead to a massive damage input that you will get there on the car. So let's see how our group will manage that today.
Yeah, so tough race. We'll see how it works out. Obviously, the quickest are going to be the ones that will go through. We expect to see the likes of Moreira and Oliveira Rodriguez. They are going to be out the front as always. So expect them to sort of really be putting in a performance here. Obviously, for Moreira, eyes on him after what was a shaky performance.
It definitely was. Moreira starting in pole position in front of Oliveira Rodriguez. So the HL battle is back once again with Negrini, who also wasn't really happy about his performance at Zandvoort, I would say, in the second row right next to Roberto, Kanya, and Woodrow. Woodrow, who had to defend way more than he was attacking at Zandvoort, so it was a tough track for him as well. Then Clifford and Oliveira in the grey and black with some red, and then Clifford should be here on the left if I'm not mistaken. McKean, once again in the slight military green, I would say, on your left hand, and then right next to Berticelli Rodeo.
Yeah, Eri Riley, Moaning, someone we need to be looking towards. Obviously, this is where the points gets very interesting towards the back. Ari Hardelson there with Dave Jr. and Calvo. Remember, Calvo outside that top 15 at the moment in terms of points. You can see he's sitting in 15th place. Bauman and Camillo. That's interesting for me. Camillo down in 17th. That does surprise me. Camillo was running in almost the top 5, let alone the top 10 in the previous race. So way out of position for me. Maybe had some mistakes in qualifying or just simply missed it.
Yeah, we'll see. It's very unusual, definitely. But we have a start here at Silverstone. Off we go, green light, and that seems like side-by-side already into turn 1, but Moreira is able to keep De Oliveira Rodriguez on second position, slotted in behind and really defending the inside line. Way more side-by-side action than what we saw in Zandvoort. Now that there's a bit more space for different lines, but Diego Carlin, he still has to defend against Ryan Woodrow in the black and reddish Lamborghini right behind. Seems stable so far at least. And also Roberto not really getting away, although that's Negrini. Negrini dropped 1 place behind Roberto already. And that's the purple car of Berticelli once again starting an attack.
Yeah, Clifford, you can see Berticelli, but just behind there as well, with Vinny Oliveira all sort of battling for the position, as you may have pointed out. Vinny Oliveira obviously was 3rd in the last race we just had, so some of these drivers definitely looking to improve on their position. Also a battle, obviously, for that 8th spot, which will be the podium. Who is that? That's Moreira, isn't it? Was that Moreira? I think was off there. Josh McKean jostling for position. He was. That was Moreira off the circuit. So already an incident towards the start. We'll have to try and get a replay of that. That was definitely Moreira going wide as they go on through. That looked like it was in the Vale maybe, or somewhere around Stowe. I couldn't see where exactly it was, but I just saw him off the circuit. I'm almost certain it was the Vale coming into club. Here the cars though in towards the village as they go around the loop. And then off onto Aintree. You have to get your exit right here because you're going into that big long straight, so hopefully you can get a better position. That's why they can see McKean and Monin jostling side by side. That's not the route you want to take there, Josh McKean, and that's going to bring somebody else. Almost a dangerous rejoin there as Eri Riley sneaks on past Michael Monin. He must have got a great exit off Aintree there as they come through down into Brooklands and then round Luffield. This is where we saw Giglioni almost losing it at the back end there. It's very tricky around here, especially when the circuit gets wet. Luckily optimum conditions today though as they exit Woodcut and complete the first lap.
Yeah, Riley did a great job there, coming out for shadow basically and overtaking while McKean was struggling early on. We see a Bauman who's still fighting to get within the top 15 to make it into the grand final. On board with him, and you can see Junior and Moning fighting in front. Bauman also a bit wide, opening the door for Hardison, but also Calvo coming close. You see it here, early on, you do a little mistake, and all of a sudden, you might even find yourself 3 wide. Very hard to defend here. It is an open track. It is a very fast track. Losing momentum gets punished like crazy. And then there are also so many opportunities here to overtake or find different lines.
Yeah, we saw Bauman struggling with cops, and anyone that's driven this circuit knows just how annoying cops can be. It's one of those corners, if you take it right, you could just power around it, don't even give it a second thought. But if you just miss the apex, you suddenly find yourself as like either running really wide and you're in severe panic mode, or you're running it too short, in which case cars are just going to be flying past you up into maggots because you've just lost so much power. So it's a really tricky corner, despite the fact it's such a wide swinging corner. So either way, at the moment, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez running away with this one, with Philip Roberto up behind him, Carnian, and then Ryan Woodrow, who we see here keeping hot on the heels. But a great run from Jonathan Clifford in 5th place right now. What a great start from him, gaining, 2 places already from the beginning, obviously with Moreira going off, and looking to keep pushing. Berticelli Rodeo on the back of Vinny Oliveira. He's keeping the pressure on. Berticelli Rodeo obviously doing a fantastic job, getting 2nd place in the previous race. Vinny Oliveira ended up in 3rd, I believe, as Roberto made a mistake. So Vinny Oliveira managed to benefit from that one. They are battling right now. Remember, this is just the sprint race. We're going to have the main race straight after this, and that's going to be the 15-minute with the top 8 reversal. So these places are all for position in the next main race.
Yeah, 45 minutes in the main race. 15 is what we're at right now in terms of sprint. But it seems like Silverstone, all of a sudden, is a change of pace for everyone. Like, you need to adapt to that brand new track once again because it's so different in terms of just a real rhythm and your approach as a driver to really be successful here. We get another replay. See what we actually get, although although is still fighting. We get a nice picture-in-picture. There's Morera running a bit wide there, but that was still fine. Approaching a last chicane. What happened there?
Oh, he's gonna get nailed. Oh, he got
wow, that was
absolutely
Negrini.
smashed. Yeah.
What was
Nothing
Negrini thinking at that moment?
I think he got on the. I think he came. He's realised he was too late in the brakes. Got on the grass, and then it was just a straight torpedo, right?
Wow.
Yeah, you could see he was desperately trying to avoid it, but consequently, it ends up being an Exocet missile coming at poor old Morera, and there's nothing he could do about that. That's why we're seeing the penalty coming through from Negrini. Obviously, he's in the pits, but yeah, Morera, that's ruined his race, so he's going to have work to do once again. And you can see he's up behind Camilo right now.
Yeah, it's like, that was quite harsh, and I think Morera picked up a lot of damage there. Negrini 15 seconds, I have to say. Kind of lucky that he only gets 15 for that one. Second time also today that he is overshooting a corner, missing a braking point. Seems like he's struggling with adapting to drivers in front of him.
Yeah, just a little off there. But I mean, it's unfortunately when you're in that position, he's tried to avoid it. He tried to avoid it, but when you're that late and you've locked up, and obviously once you lock up, you're not going as slow as you would if you didn't lock up. Does that make sense? If you lock up, you don't brake as hard as you would without locking up. So you're going to kind of lift, but when your brain's in that moment, you're almost too late. And as soon as I look like he tapped the grass as well. So as soon as you tap the grass, that's it. You're like an ice skating ring, aren't you? You're just going to torpedo across the circuit.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy. Could have been way worse. I mean, he could have taken down basically everyone. Luckily, that wasn't the case. But who wasn't lucky was definitely Morera. And he will not like this day. That's absolutely sure for me, at least.
I'm interested in... I can't remember how wide the track limits go on Cops there, because I just saw someone running wide. I definitely went off track limits there. I'm just wondering when we are, not so much in this race, but in the main race, how tight we're going to be on track limits.
Yes, like we didn't saw any track cuts in Zandvoort that led to...
There's not really anywhere you can cut, is there?
Yeah, it's pretty bad though. It's like that led to drive through, but we'll see. Ryan Woodrow still finding himself in the middle of the pack. Carlin in front, Clifford on the back, followed by Oliveira and Botticelli Rodeo. Botticelli Rodeo, obviously a very fast driver, at least in Zandvoort. But it's also, with Vinny Oliveira, not an easy driver to overtake, especially on such a fast and flowing track. Great to see that everyone is still packed and squashed up here to give us a good race for the first 15 minutes. So we're nearly... Oh no, we are halfway through now. We're exactly halfway through, actually, on the sprint race. Our very first, let's say, warm-up, kind of, the 45-minute rain race, and as Lee already said, where we will do switcheroo for the top 8. 8th will be first, and first will be 8th. So currently, that would be Aaron Riley, who had a good run early on in this race. And Fidel Morera will do everything to maybe get to 8th, but let's look at this. There's 1 second, 1, 2, 1. I mean, it is doable.
Not in 7 minutes, it's not. No way.
No.
He's got past Camillo. I mean, he's just got that done. He's got Calvo up next, and yes, he is faster than those guys, but he's not that fast. It's like, come on.
You're underestimating my power.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Sweeping around Cops they go. Into Maggots and Chapel as they try and sweep on through. So Woodrow. So, okay. So information from race control is there are people already on 2 warnings. So as I was pointing out, like I fear that when we get into that 45-minute main race, we may see people really close to the edge. And I know... I would say Cops is probably the main area, because if you don't quite get it right, it's one of those fast corners that you easily find yourself going off and running wide. It's very easy to pick up a track limit there.
Seems like there's still fights going on here. As everyone bunching up before the chicane. That's McKean and Riley. I think McKean tried to launch it up the inside there. Vinny Oliveira still trying to hold on, and that is another one where Riley might be diving through it kind of hard right now, because it is Ari Riley on the outside, and it was McCain on the inside, both driving the same livery. Always easy to spot all the numbers on the car. And then there actually are no numbers on the car anymore on the side. Which does make it easier. Riley with the 11 and McKean with the 9. Once again, side by side, Riley opened the door way too much for McKean, and he's not someone that you have to ask twice to dive in there. But Riley able to slot back in. Look at them. I mean, they touching. Coming out of the corner. Really close right now, but they can't make all of this without accounting for Mourning now closing the gap, as these two are still fighting. What a swap here once again. Crossover from McKean trying to block off Mourning. I mean, that's definitely heating up here at the end of the sprint race.
Yeah, I want to quickly look back at it as well. I was just having a quick look towards the 4th place. You can see Woodrow was under battle. Igor de Oliveira home and dry at the moment, well wide. You can see Roberto up behind and Karin, although Woodrow does have pressure from Jonathan Clifford. Riley and McKean still side by side through Copse into Magnus Beckett's. Mooning's still up behind them. And seeing if they can finally sort it out, and they have at last. It looks like Eri Riley is going to be the one that will fall behind on Josh McKean, but I don't think that's done yet.
Nah, so I'm absolutely sure that they will fight until the very end of this race, especially with Riley now being up front. You're doing a great job here, Eri Riley's like really in the standings right now. After what happened, Eri Riley, let me quickly find him, 14th. Only 2 points in front of David Calvo, who could steal his spot in the grand final. Calvo currently obviously in 16th and Riley in 9th, so Riley did a great job here, ensuring that he will be the driver of the finals.
You can see Clifford under pressure at the moment, but Tichelli Rodeo up behind him. We should point out, by the way, that battle McKean-Riley, the reason it's so cutthroat, it is that 8th spot. It is the pole position in, 3 minutes time, and McKean currently holding it. So if you lose out, it really hurts you, and it can be huge. For Josh McKean, he's got the points, he's safe. But Eri Riley, this would be huge for him.
Definitely, and it will give him a big jump, so it's actually Eri Harders that has to figure out if he can stay within the top 15. Same for Mike and Mourning, and then Camillo and Calvo. Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez still leading, but he now got Roberto behind below half a second. So normally I would say he's in DRS range now. Well, obviously this isn't F1. Although the wings look like they could do DRS, a bit like the DTM Schwanhalsflügel.
They just like separate or something.
No, they actually did. They flap away. No joke.
They just drop down.
Yeah, it's like they just go absolutely straight. They're like angled before, and then on the straight they just snap down. So they're flat. That's what the touring car series was doing. Sorry, they're now racing GT3 cars, obviously, but when they were still doing Class 1 cars,
yeah.
Then they had these what we call in Germany Schwanhals.
I was going to say, because I watched it recently and I didn't see them doing it.
I was like they're now GT3, obviously.
Right, yeah.
Like any other series out there.
Yeah, every other series, yeah.
Not us though. We're on the Lamborghini Huracán Super Trofeo EVO2. Instead of going GT3 like everyone else is doing, which is why these drivers have to sometimes learn a completely new car, because they're probably all used to GT3s in ACC.
Reda going to try and get past Max Baumann. Should be able to get it done here. It's going to be a sweep round on the inside. As they go down hard on the brakes into the Vale, and yeah, absolutely no problem.
Yeah, like an easy move here for him. Around Max Baumann. It is obviously quite obvious that Moreira is not just struggling with frustration and keeping calm on the track. But then if you look at it, how unlucky he is, I mean, we saw Negrini just basically, piling up into him. It is understandable that he is frustrated. It's just, it doesn't make it better for him right now.
Well, following the last race as well.
Yes.
With how that one played out, this must be a red mist day. But we should also point out, if you remember last week, who was it that got absolutely punted all 4 races? I can't remember his name, but there was somebody that got absolutely torpedoed all 4 races. So you know what? Sometimes you have those days.
Yeah, it can happen. What should we do about that one? But it's quite sad that it always hit Moreira, and like I said, I think he's struggling right now, and that this will be a real test for him I think luckily he will still make it into the final, so that's all good. But it will be important then for him to calm down, collect himself, and then ensure that in the grand final he's calm and collected, ice cold. That's what we're looking for.
It was Robin Pagardle last week. Just getting torpedoed every race, unfortunately. All 4 races, both sprint races, both main races, punted from behind, nothing you could do with it. Absolutely nothing you could do about it at all. Jonathan Clifford still under attack from Botticelli. Rodeo not really happening for him though at the moment. So looks like, I mean, that's been going on the whole way through. Karnin looks like he's got himself through though. Ryan Woodrow just having a sniff. Doesn't look like it's going to work out for Woodrow this time. So Karnin hanging on. I will say that. He's got a good exit. That is a very fast exit. This is a fast right-hander coming up. They're going to be able to sweep on round. See if he can stay within spitting distance effectively as they come into the hard brakes corner, because Karnin's going to be defensive. Yeah, he goes pretty much Parkston in the middle of the circuit there. Woodrow's going to try and swing it round. There'll be a hard left-hander as well now as they swing around the loop and then flat out as they get into Aintree and down the Wellington Straight. So he might be able to have a chance here. You can see he's very much on him. Is he going to be close enough? Well, Server's having some fun, that's for sure. This is the final lap of the race as well. Woodrow flat out side by side as they come squeezing into Luffields. And it's looking pretty good. He may well have got this job done.
Yeah, incredible. Like how to pull that off here for Ryan Woodrow. Doing a great job taking down Karnin in the last lap and making that count. Obviously that means he drops 1 more position for the feature race start, but it gets him a bit more points while he comes across the line here in 3rd. So De Oliveira, Rodriguez, Roberto, then Woodrow, Karnin, Clifford, Beychella, Rodeo, Oliveira, McKean, Riley, and Merning the top 10, which means we will see Josh McKean being on pole position for the feature race with the Oliveira right next to him. So I don't know why I lost that name there, but he's definitely in the first row for the big feature race.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously a lot more action this time around. As my dog finds a squeaky toy. A lot more action this time around. As we kind of expected, more than Zandvoort had, I think, in both races combined. But yeah, it's definitely showing that obviously once we get to this 45-minute main race, it's going to be an entertaining, some nice close racing, nice clean racing as well, barring obviously the one mistake that Negrini made and wiping out Moreira. Unfortunate incident that it is going to force Moreira to start. I think he was 13th, so he's going to be starting down on the grid. So we'll see whether he can make his way through the back.
Yeah, Leeds Moreira has 45 minutes to make that, or to get that done in the feature race as we're heading into our last race of the group stage here of the Nala region. 45 minutes of racing in Silverstone on what definitely is an action-packed track, as we just saw in 50 minutes. Will be even better with pit stops and more time for the battles to unfold. All of that right after the break. fasten your seatbelt as we're heading into our very last race at the group stage of the NOLA region. Silverstone, 45 minutes. We just finished the 15-minute sprint race. And Lee, that was action-packed. Like, Silverstone really delivering for us here in the last race.
I know, right? I know, not just a boring track, eh? Absolutely delivering on all the action.
It's not that boring, I admit that.
I think we had more overtakes than the two Zandvoort races put together in that first 15 minutes. So expecting to see quite a lot more in the 45. Of course, people will be a little bit more refined now. It is the main race, so they've got to be careful how things go. And for some, this is a battle for their tournament lives, battle to stay in it. Nobody wants to be in that last chance qualifier. Everybody wants to get it done right here, right now. There are a couple of drivers that are sitting on the edge, so they're going to make sure they can get going.
I can tell you who isn't in currently, according to standings. So it would be David Calvo, who's with us today. He's outside of the top 15 by just 2 points. And Max Baumann, who's outside of the top 15 by just 2 points. So these two are definitely fighting to get within the top 15. And the fight against Gustav Camillo, who's 15th, Eri Riley 14th, and Eri Hardison in 13th. But the first card across the line today will be McKean, Josh McKean at the forefront, with Oliveira finishing our row number 1. Then we have Botticelli Rodeo on the left in the purple, beautiful livery here, with Clifford in blue on the right, followed by Canyon and Woodrow. Ryan Woodrow, who had the last move of the sprint race, coming up to third. Really impressive maneuver that he made work there. Then Roberto, and then De Oliveira Rodriguez, obviously the current points leader with 107 points, and also a sprint race winner. By the way, his gap is already over 40 points, 41 points actually, between him and Josh McKean, who's now starting in first.
Yeah, he's been quite impressive and consistent throughout, I think it's safe to say. So, the last race of groups overall of all the regions about to get underway. It is Josh McKean that we're starting out in pole position. Vinny Oliveira alongside him, waiting for that green flag to drop, and away we go for Lamborghini, the real race. The final race of the group stage before the finals on October 16th. There is one last chance qualifier for these drivers to try and make their way through, but that is it. Last roll of the dice as they file on through Maggots, Beckett's, and out through Chapel, down the hangar straight, and it's Josh McKean that leads the way.
Yeah, Oliveira made a nice job there covering up, but I think... No, but it is one Ryan Woodrow that's here on the outside, and in between there, that should be Riley maybe. Already.
It's Igor trying to squeeze his way through.
Oh,
Oliveira Rodriguez.
No, Oliveira is using a black car, isn't he?
Yeah, black with blue trim.
Yeah, that was a matte green car though. But that is Igor de Oliveira. Yes, who's the car in front of me? Is that Roberto using the same livery? Yeah, okay. So this is Igor de Oliveira trying to make up positions early on in the race. And it seems to work out this time against Ryan Woodrow, sending the number 6 back a spot. As I think Woodrow already lost 2 because he also lost out to Roberto. And then Eri Riley is following right behind very closely. And where is Negrini though? Negrini currently in 17th.
Yeah, he started at the back.
Yeah, I was expecting he might get 1-2 positions early on, sector 2 maybe. But he's also probably a bit more cautious by now. Seeing what happens in Zandvoort and the sprint race in Silverstone.
Ooh, what's just happened back there? That is a spinner. Didn't see who it was. I think it was Ari Hardison. Yeah, Ari Hardison got spun, and I didn't see who else it was. Ari Hardison definitely. I saw a couple of cars going sideways. Moreda through, though, benefiting from it up to 11th. So we'll keep our eye on race control and see exactly who was at fault there. But that was just, it looked like it was just coming out of the loop, or maybe Aintree, sort of before Wellington, as they are going around the back of Lovefields now.
A good race start so far, seems to be very clean, and Moreira doing his best to find his way back within the top 10. Josh McKean still leading. He was the points leader coming into this last day in the group stage. He isn't by now anymore, that's for sure. Dropped down by over 40 points to De Oliveira Rodriguez. the car in 7th, but it seems like McKean is already under pressure by Oliveira, and also Petticelli Rodeo came a lot closer by now, even though the top 3 kind of created a small gap to Clifford and the rest of the pack.
Yeah, the start, a little segregation starting to come in there. That's a side-by-side. I'm pretty sure that is Oliveira Rodriguez once again. Yes, it is, as he is still sitting in 6th there, trying to squeeze past Roberto. I think it's Carnahan that just lost out there, wasn't it? Yeah, Carnahan has gone back 2 places. So both Roberto and the Rodriguez squeezing through up into what is now 6th and 7th as they continue their way through. Carnahan just behind them with Woodrow, trying to get what he can from this one as they sweep on round Cops. Full power as much as you dare. Tell a lie, that's not Cops. We're coming out the other end. That's going through Abbey and Farm. I was just thinking, hang on a minute, why did they just go left? Completely threw me off guard as they go around the loop.
At least they knew where to go. It's already a good start. Could have been way worse. But I think it takes maybe a half a lap, and then we'll see Vinny Oliveira having his first go at Josh McKean. If he can keep Petticelli Rodeo at bay, because they're close the gap massively right now and seems to be very dialed in. Clifford can still hang in with them, and then it's over a second already to Roberto. So the top 4 kind of in their own league right now. But yeah, the real question is who sets the first attack, because that will define. If it's Oliveira attacking McKean first, then everyone else will bunch up. If it's Petticelli attacking Oliveira first, then McKean has a great chance here getting away from the pack.
I can tell you that Moreira just set the fastest lap down in 11th, so he's sneaking on as much as he can. Everybody sort of starting to spread themselves out now with the opening crazy 5 minutes over with. It's a case of settling down and getting yourself in there. Let's have a look at this replay to see exactly where it's from.
Yeah, it's Moreira's cockpit perspective around the outside, very late on the brakes. There's Hardison, and all of that looks good, so Moreira gained 1 position there, and then he taps the back of Hardison. Once again, these two coming together. Hardison spun right at the apex. Not a great spot to park. You can't park there, mate, basically, because you're standing in everyone's way. Luckily, that was already so far in the pack that not everyone had to pass by.
The Rodriguez gets past Philip Roberto, so he's got it done. Now continuing on up into 5th place. Igor absolutely blasting, isn't he? Could be back-to-back main race winner. Dave Jr. having a little look there at Bauman. Bauman obviously battling for points, as many points as he can get here. I'm going to assume that Moreira is going to be carrying yet another 15-second penalty from that punt. So obviously he's ahead of these guys. They need to try and keep as close as they can to him. Obviously Moreira, we know he's got the pace, but they need to try and stick with him so and get as many points as they can, because I think he said Bauman needed 2 points, right? In there, so he's got a lot of work to do. Moreira, he's gone past Michael Moaning, he's just passed now on the Wellington. So continuing on through the pack. We know he's got pace, but unfortunately today he's also been punting people.
It's true. By the way, Michael Moaning currently in 12 on 18 points, which means there's a gap of 5 to 15th. So he should be fine as long as he manages to score whatever points in this race. But Calvo, with being 16th in the standings and 17th in the race currently, is looking to be one of the unlucky drivers that won't make it into the grand final after the group stage. And Max Baumann, same points. As long as Baumann ensures that he's in front of Gustav Camillo, that would get him into the actual final, and he currently is. I mean, 12th to 15th. There's a big chance. Jonathan Clifford, by the way, now has to defend against Oliveira Rodriguez, who's coming from the back and obviously wants to have the lead once again. And look how easy it was for him to come from 8th up to probably 4th now around the outside. Beautiful maneuver here by our current points leader. Absolutely no contact between him and Clifford. Obviously both played along here, but beautifully executed by the Brazilian, getting into 4th. And with that, definitely showing early on in this 45-minute main race, even before the pit stops, that he wants another win back-to-back here.
going around the outside of Stowe, that's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, that is not easy, but he got it done before he even got into the Vale, so very impressive. Didn't even need to outbreak him, which is what I thought we were going to have to battle down to. Max Baumann battling out with Michael Moening here. He's got Negrini also down there, so Negrini has gone for a car colour change, hasn't he? He used to be in the blue and yellow, now he's in the green. No, tell a lie. I'm being done by the time. I'm looking at the in-game timer and not the actual timer that we have. So I did myself there, unfortunately. Rookie errors here, that's for sure. Do not ever trust the in-game timer. It doesn't refresh quick enough.
We learned that across the season. Maybe something to let Kumas know about. Refresh rate. Give us that one. They just released the 1.8 or 18 update. I don't even know by now anymore. I think it's 1.8 update to the consoles, bringing up the physics of ACC on consoles to 400 Hz refresh rate. That is actually really nice. I think that's the highest for a console title, if I'm not mistaken. So even our console players of ACC will be able to get the new tire physics, deformation, and all that stuff. And putting together a more interesting grids, actually. Mixed with Porsche Cup cars, however, what you like. Super Trofeo, you can bring all of them in there. Quite interesting. So yeah, if you're a console player, check that one out. What we want to check out here is if Batticelli Rodeo catches Oliveira before De Oliveira Rodriguez catches Batticelli. Because that once again will change the outcome of the battle for the front. And I have to say, I think Igor is already locked on and loaded here, kind of following like all the scenes in Top Gun. And I'll definitely get someone talking about shooting and being fast. Someone overshot the last corner, I think. Man, the background was it Woodrow, I think it was.
Well, we're 10 minutes in. We were talking about earlier on about potential track limits, so we'll keep our eye on that one. Igor had to lift it off the accelerator there to make sure he didn't go in the back of Batticelli, but he's going to have his rear wing. Is he going to have a little look upside into the corner? Looks like he will in Brooklands. He's going to be on the outside at Luffields though, so can he get it done? He can, once he gets around here, you can kind of go flat out through Woodcut, and then you're obviously onto it, and yet looking to try and switch back, but I expected that might not work out. You can see the same is happening further back as well. Jonathan Clifford under pressure from Philippe Roberto, and looks like he's got it done. We'll be on the inside into Copse here. We've seen this side-by-side action before in a different circuit. This time, though, Roberto not able to hold on to it. Clifford, though, cutting inside, won't have the position as they come into Maggots, and that's going to give Roberto the chance, so he gets it done up into fifth.
Yeah, just no chance to have enough drive to go alongside, but I have to say Marcelo Batticelli Rodeo did an incredible job fighting off De Oliveira Rodriguez in the previous sector. So for now, that is still a podium spot, but we also see that McKean lost out on pace. I think De Oliveira Rodriguez now sending it up the inside on Stowe, and that's it, done and dusted. Yeah, there's no chance for a switcheroo. So Batticelli losing one position, maybe into the chicane, could fight back. But no, Oliveira Rodriguez already covering up the inside. And as I said, Oliveira now down to half a second only between him and the leading car of McKean. So it seems like McKean is dropping in pace just slightly.
Yeah, and he's going to be feeling more pressure soon, isn't he? With the way that the Oliveira Rodriguez is going, he's powering through, loving this circuit, it seems. Really hitting those times and seemingly not having any problems overtaking people at the moment, just blasting through. That was, so he's done outside and inside at Stowe now. So he's very much ahead of the situation. So absolutely brilliant driving from the man that is delivering and has delivered all the way long here. Eri Riley with Ferreira Moreira coming in. Fidel Moreira looking to try and get onto the back of Eri Riley. Oh, that said, who was that going slow? Is that Ryan Woodrow? That's Ryan Woodrow going really slow there. He's actually forced Riley off, and I think that's going to give Moreira both places. Yes, it will. Should get around the outside here. We'll be able to flat out Woodcut, and then as they go on the pretty much drag strip down. He should be clean to get away here. Will be on the outside. This is going into Cops, so it's going to be tricky. He's being forced as wide as he can. That was a side-by-side nudge there. I don't think he had too much space there. Sorry, that's going into Abby, isn't it? But, yeah. No, I was right the first time round. I just never second-guess yourself. I had it right the first time. It was into Cops.
Yeah, once again, the contact here with Fidel Moreira. Moreira, quite used to contact today, I would say. That car saw some beating. But now annoying, probably a chance to get Woodrow. McKean now under even more pressure, 3.86 between him and Oliveira. But Vinny Oliveira will also see the car of De Oliveira Rodriguez. Black and blue, coming the back very fast. I mean, look at that braking. Really closing the gap to Vinny Oliveira here. And the number 2 car will soon have to defend once again. He was probably quite happy that Betticelli dropped off a bit because I gave him the chance to close the gap to McKean, and he did. So it's not like he didn't deliver on that. But he wasn't quick enough to make a move. Because, yeah, De Oliveira Rodriguez already closed in and will also start fighting now. So this is a three-way battle for the lead after the first 15 minutes. Currently it's 14 minutes, obviously, but it's within the first 50 minutes of our feature race. And so far, only Hardison Calvo came in. Anyone else still has to go for pit stop. And someone has to go around here as De Oliveira Rodriguez goes side by side with Oliveira down to the braking zone. He will be very late on the brakes here because he's great at that. De Oliveira Rodriguez once again keeping the car tidy up to the inside, clinging to the curbs, doing a great job. Now slotted it into second. And McKean now knows that this solo party at the front is over, definitely.
Yeah, McKean, who had such a fantastic opening group week, is looking like he's going to be under pressure very soon here, as Igor is just motoring here at Silverstone, absolutely delivering all the way through. So much so I'm actually going to stick with him. I'm just going to stick with him because I think it's only a matter of time before this move gets done. He may even get it done on this lap. We've seen him overtaken so many times going into Stowe. Not too sure he's going to be quite close enough though on Josh McKean this time into Stowe though. So maybe another lap yet.
Yeah, he got the slipstream though into Stowe. Look at how he closed the gap. Won't be enough to go alongside on the braking, but maybe for the chicane. If he's getting around here, good. Oh, he gets way better into the corner than McKean. Even on the exit, McKean now obviously wins a bit because I think De Oliveira had to lift throttle just slightly to that slam in the rear of that Huracán. But McKean not up to the task, I would say, in terms of raw pace. Still Oliveira Rodriguez shows multiple times now in the few corners that we just watched how much quicker he gets into the corners.
Josh McKean under the pressure. The gap already, Vinny Oliveira sort of dropped back from this one. He's actually been reeled in by Betticelli Rodeo. But for Josh McKean, yeah, he's being chewed apart, isn't he, as they go round the loop. And Igor, he's going to have a slower exit there on as they go around Aintree because he had to get on the brakes a bit more than he wanted. And that's going to give Josh McQueen a little breather here. So not going to happen. Should be safe going down into Brooklands. As he keeps on it. Brooklands, tricky corner because you're coming from max speed and what feels like a faster corner than it is as he goes around Luffield now, hanging on in there, then into Woodcut and away they go. Still very much under pressure. You can see them sort of stringing out behind as well. Everybody trying to take as short a cut as you can, just cutting across that corner and then blasting it round here in Cops, making sure you're max speed. But it just feels that these top speed corners, that Igor just has such a clean line on them.
Yeah, it's really remarkable what De Oliveira Rodriguez shows here in terms of pace, even following someone had to turn on the lights. Now it got a bit darker here in Silverstone. Weather still looking good though. Track is optimum, absolutely no rain in the next 30 minutes. Now he had to drop off a bit. I think there's a difference between him and Moreira, right? We saw Moreira always following and then tapping the back sometimes. While De Oliveira Rodriguez, he knows about his raw pace, so he is okay with sometimes dropping back, waiting a bit, because he knows there will be a better chance.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just been working it well. Wow, so good on the brakes, it seems. Josh McKean. Let's not write Josh McKean off. Josh McKean was the points leader coming into today. Like, he was magnificent in the rain last time out on Laguna Seca and Brands Hatch. He absolutely delivered, and on Brands Hatch he was so far ahead of everyone else. Absolutely smashed it. So was by and far driver of the day. But right now it does seem that Igor is looking to take that title. Absolutely delivered. Got himself second place in the sprint race. Both sprint races actually second place for Igor there. And in the main race turned it round, picked up the win at Zandvoort, and then almost managed to get one here. Back down at P4, it looks like Berticelli Rodeo is, I was about to say get it done onto Oliveira, but actually Felipe Roberto has managed to clatter into him, and that's put Berticelli Rodeo way down, losing what, 1, 2, 3, 4 positions there. So much so Moreira actually diving in the pits, realizing he's in amongst it. One of our, well, the first, did he stop in time? I'm not sure. That looked like he was hot on the brakes.
Yeah. I think that was a bit late, to be honest. We'll investigate that and then get a call on it. But Fidel Moreira is in the pits. I think that was still a good call, because with him now getting in between Berticelli Rodeo after getting tapped by Roberto, fell behind, it would once again kind of kill his pace. And I think he wants to do the same that De Oliveira Rodriguez did in the first race. Get it clean now, but there is the switch for the lead. De Oliveira Rodriguez easily in his stow, putting himself in front of McKean. McKean not even defending anymore, but he might come back. Look at that great exit of Stowe into the chicane, but he's not even trying to get alongside. Might be waiting for the next stretch. Hopefully that wasn't a wrong decision, because seeing how De Oliveira Rodriguez is creating gaps immediately, that might have been his only chance.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I think for McKean, he's just doing, whoa, that's a bit of a rough entrance there. So Igor, that's an uncharacteristic mistake. First one we've seen from him today. I think they're just getting a little wild on the brakes, but managing to hang on to position. Josh McKean maybe just seeing he's not quite as invulnerable as he seemed today. So perhaps a chance at sticking with him. You can see the battle behind, though. Vini Oliveira still very much with Felipe Roberto on his backside. Roberto, though, we're expecting a penalty for him. We'll double check that one just to see what's coming. Car number 7, yeah, Roberto is going to be getting a 15-second penalty in there as well. He's just gone through, though.
It is quite sad if you're picking up penalties, but what should we do? It's like, it happens. It's part of racing. And Felipe Roberto now up to 3rd, so that's Oliveira who dropped down another position after being taken down by De Oliveira Rodriguez. But you see it here, it's like we absolutely love those races where we reverse the top 8 or top 10, whatever it might be, right? It's top 8 here in Lamborghini The Real Race, because then we see people like De Oliveira Rodriguez going through an entire grid and really showcasing that's not just hot lapping for them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what qualification's all about, the hot laps, but you've got to have the racecraft, you've got to have the know-how, and we've got a replay of, what did you just say there?
Oliveira, I think.
Oliveira's not dropped out of the race.
No, I
still
still see him there. Moreira. Okay, let's see. That's what we saw. Yep. He then went into the pits.
Did he get? Because he picked up the stop go, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see that. It's 4th, and then
Oh, he lost it, so he wasn't able to brake cleanly. Yep. Yeah.
Ah, it's just not the day for Fidel Moreira. It is what it is. It's like it was hard on him, and I think this was all about mental strength today, in terms of racecraft. And I can understand, like, frustration must be high by now.
Yeah, I mean, in this, obviously, this was it. This one, it was in the sprint race, wasn't it? Sprint race, he got torpedoed by Negrini.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing you could do about it. He was leading the race, just going around. I think it was Brooklands. No, actually, I think it was the Vale, wasn't it? It was at the Vale, it was at the chicane. And it just got simply absolutely torpedoed. Nothing you could do. Just he was literally going round the corner, and a car just came straight across the grass into him. So Yeah, one of those that you see in real life is absolutely a horrific incident when they happen. You get everyone's heart in the mouth, but obviously, luckily, we are in a racing sim. Josh McKean has gone past because we have the race leader coming in the pits. I think that's Roberto coming in the pits behind him, so he's about to collect his 15-second penalty. But the race leader coming in, I wouldn't even say early. We're at halfway past stage already. Not had too many come in just yet. Butticelli Rodeo, the early stopper, trying to see if he can maybe leapfrog the time of Roberto, but I think he's only got a lap difference.
Yes, it will be hard to make up for that. Well, we have G. Oliveira Rodriguez now also pitting. Roberto Riley is pitting very early. Okay. I mean, we're halfway through, yes, but I was thinking Harry Riley might run a bit longer here, but he didn't. Let's see if that pays off or not. McKean still out there, still leading. He obviously wasn't leading all the time. De Oliveira Rodriguez took him down and then immediately went for the pits. I was wondering, did De Oliveira Rodriguez see a drop in his pace? Did he pit? Is that the reason that he pits? Because otherwise, I would have said, stay out there. You're the leading car. You got like an open track right in front of you. And we know that his pace was a lot quicker than any car around him.
Well, he may also be thinking that. Just thinking he doesn't care because he can overtake them.
Let's put on a show. Get my car out there. Get on the screen.
I mean, he's back out on the circuit now, so we'll see where that works out. Obviously, McKean still going around. Clifford under pressure from Warren Woodrow still here. He's currently, well, riding in third place, so obviously a little out of that. Vinny Oliveira just ahead of him, so actually they're pretty high in the positions they will be. Certainly Clifford was running in the top 5 at one point. See whether that works out, obviously with the pits coming in. Maybe just a little scared of the undercut, because the undercut has worked out a number of times for sort of these guys. So certainly you think back to Zandvoort, the undercut worked out. Looks like they're both going to dive in the pits. Yep,
both coming in here. Probably not a bad call. Although, like, following right after. At least, you know, like, you won't get being overtaken by undercut or overcut, so... like, it can be a strategy, certainly, here in the beginning of the race. Diego Carnin, still in 8th, right behind Roberto. Roberto obviously picked up the 15-second penalty for what happened earlier in the race. Let's have a quick look at the standings again. So, Calvo with being 15th. Probably not making it, because he would need to be in front of Camillo. Camillo currently... Is Camillo out of the race? Gustavo Camillo is out of the race.
Yeah.
That means 15th position is open. So it's either David Calvo or Baumann. Max Baumann currently in 14th, Calvo in 15th. So it would go towards the US driver Baumann as he's in front. Then it will be Canelo out. Eri Riley looking strong and tense, so he will make it. Eri Hardison, as long as he stays in front of Baumann and Calvo, he will be in. And Michael Moerning is looking strong in 5th place. So, yeah, that is... David Jr. will drop a few places, but will not be enough to get him into any problems. But yeah, that's the end for Gustavo Camillo. Not scoring here means not making it into the final.
Well, look at this. Vinny Oliveira actually took Clifford in the pits there. So, don't know what he did to be shorter, but came out the pits quicker. It's also, unfortunately, brought them out, as they stayed out longer, it's brought them out behind Roberto and Carnin. So, Carnin's managed to leapfrog a couple of places here. It's worked out really well for him in the pit stops. But we'll see whether that stays the case. Butticelli Rodeo dropping back to 7th now because of those pit stops as well. Obviously, don't forget there is that 15-second penalty still looming over Roberto after the punt on Butticelli Rodeo earlier on.
Yeah, it's like we quite had some action here in this race, and it's kind of getting on fault now. The last 18 minutes for the Nala region in general. Obviously not the last 80 minutes, as they will have a grand final to get the regional winner, and they're still the last chance qualifier. But the group stage comes to an end after 4 incredible tracks that we visited with our Nala races. Obviously, all the regions visited different tracks, so there was no sharing of setups whatsoever, of knowledge. All of them had a different schedule, which made it really interesting for us as well on the weekends to see 2 new tracks each and every time. We had Zandvoort earlier this race, and then we're finishing up now in Silverstone, the iconic venue in Great Britain, which so far proved to be a great track for racing action. Talking about racing action, but Jello Rodeo obviously wants to make up those positions he lost with that little mistake he made earlier.
Yeah, the finals for these guys is going to be at Laguna Seca as well. Obviously, the home turf for the Nala region. Obviously, the track we started the group stage on that Igor did very well on, Josh McKean did very well on, Moreira did very well on. So, going to be a very interesting finals for that race as and when we get there. That will be on the 16th of October. Obviously, we also have EMEA and APAC all on that same day as well. Starting off with APAC, that's going to be at Suzuka. EMEA will be at Spa, and then, as I say, that will be at Laguna Seca. So, lots of action on the 16th of October. You're going to want to tune in for that one because it's going to be a long day. There's no doubt about it, but it's going to be an entertaining one at that.
Yeah, it will be, and I'm absolutely looking forward to all the action that we will see in the grand final. But this race is not over yet. De Oliveira Rodriguez still leading, McKean behind, not being able to go the pace of the current leader. So he will drop even further behind, I'm absolutely sure about that. Ari Hardison still fighting with Dave Jr. on the back, similar cars, making it hard for us once again. 11 for Hardison, the 12 for Jr. And then Negrini currently in 10th. I would love to see if he can get further up. Same for Ari Riley, but Hardison now has to defend. Oof, that was quite close there. Getting his car in front of Dave Jr. once again. Dave Jr. seems to have a lot more momentum coming onto the straights. A faster car, now maybe the switcheroo, but there's a left-hander coming right up. Another hairpin, very tight, super hard to see because you can't really see the exit when you turn into the apex because it's so tight. Didn't manage to get any move done yet.
Vinny Oliveira is hot on the heels of Carnahan, and you can see just behind him is Clifford and Berticelli Rodeo. So Berticelli Rodeo has gained right on the back of him. Obviously, if you think of Rodeo was running in 3rd place up until he was unceremoniously punted around by Roberto. So interested to see whether they can get that move to stick. Dave Jr. still trying. I think for Hardison was just purely running the defensive line, right, which is why Dave Jr. was getting the momentum every time because he was running around the actual lines, which is often actually harder to do than you may think because you do tend to get sucked into just following the car in front instead of actually trying to run the track. So all about the racecraft. That's all comes from experience really that these guys have got.
Yeah, and we see the skill that is here in the Lamborghini. The real race is a proper grid, and it's not easy to get points here. It's not easy to actually be one of the front runners. And so far, I have to say, the show that these drivers put on for us every single weekend was remarkable. And that's why I'm really looking forward to the grand final. And I think there are several drivers here that definitely have a ton of potential when it comes to their sim racing career.
Absolutely. And there's some that are obviously already doing it, and some that are amateurs or semi-pros coming into it and trying to see what they can. Yes, there's a few pros in the grid. Obviously, they show clearly. Ari Hardison, once again, is going to have to be very defensive here to Dave Jr. Dave Jr., this time, Hardison chooses to take the proper racing line, although a little bumpy as he takes it. Sweeping on through, then hard on the brakes as they come into the village. Now Hardison looking to see if he can maybe swing it round, going for the switchback. You can see he's trying to swing it right round the loop to see if he can get up the inside, but Hardison holds a nice line out into Aintree, flat on the gas, and down the Wellington straight.
Another roughly 40 minutes for 15 cars out there on the track. Roberto, the only one that still has an open penalty with 15 seconds. Going to place in 3rd, so he would drop down a long way, actually. Probably outside of the top 10, which is massive. But everyone is so close together on this race. It's definitely a different story to what we saw on APAC the previous week.
Yeah, we're starting to hit that time. A, the final 10 minutes when things get a little crazy, and B, starting to maybe look at track limits. Some people may start backing off their time, so keep your eye on that. See whether they are just maybe on the edge of a track limit penalty, so they're having to play it very cautiously. We may even see them giving up a position because of it, because they just can't afford to then defend or battle for it. Somebody that is battling is Dave Jr. He wants this, doesn't he? He wants that spot. In terms of standings, where does it put him? Does it put him within there? He's well within there already. He's already 11th place on 18 points, so should be safe. Obviously for Ari Hardison, he is safe still, 13th place. I don't think anything's going to move him further down.
Yeah, but keep in mind, they're both on 18 points.
Yeah.
So this is a direct fight, basically, because in case anything happens in the back, they would all be threatened at the same time because they're on the same point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the real threat would come from Calvo or Baumann, who are 14th and 15th. I mean, yes, if obviously anything happens to them in this overtake, then it could be disaster. But hopefully they avoid that.
Yes, I would be very sad to end the race now with any big accident, but I would love to see more of the fighting, more of the side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel racing action. Lamborghini the rear race brought us so often. Vinny Oliveira behind Karnin, who did a mistake just a few corners ago. Had to go over the emergency road there. So does he feel the pressure of Vinny Oliveira already? Oliveira having a way better run onto the straight. Look at him coming closer. Sniffing the exhaust gases here of Karnin. Not close enough yet though. Already launched an attack, as we can see here from the rear view shot. Oh, that's another car. It's actually Marcel Petticelli Rodeo looking onto Clifford. And it seems like after the little tap that Petticelli got, he's not the same in terms of pace.
Yeah, just maybe not as confident. I'm not too sure, because he was certainly running well, as you mentioned. He was, third, wasn't he, before that tap from Roberto. So at the moment, he's very much under pressure. Ryan Woodrow has been looking to try and deliver, maybe trying to go for the switch back here. Not really a corner that you expect to see the switch back through, but going round Stowe there into the Vale. Hard on the brakes. Carnahan still leading this, what a 5-car train almost, all within a second of one another. Vinny Oliveira once again trying to keep it flat. You can see the little battles. There's almost 3 battles playing out here, all back to back to back, and if this one here causes any problems, it's going to have a chain reaction down the field. As Vinny looks to swing inside once again as they come into the loop. And the exit should have a better exit there. It had a nicer line, so we'll see whether he can get the power down and maybe give him a chance on Karnin. You can see he's definitely gaining. He's obviously got the toe, but also had a cleaner exit. I don't think he's going to be close enough though to go into Brooklyn's and challenge. No, not even close, and actually almost outbraked himself a little there.
Yeah, it's also a thing now of concentration, right? We had 2 Zandvoort races, we had 1 Silverstone sprint race, and it's getting later. Getting a bit more into the day for them, getting later for us. It's nearly midnight here in Europe. It's obviously not for the drivers from Brazil and the US. But it's a long time now where they had to be fully concentrated and showing their best on the track. And maybe some of them now show the first signs of, being kind of overworked in the car.
A little bit of fatigue, perhaps. But Chile Rodeo definitely under pressure from Ryan Woodrow here, isn't he? The Canadian looking to try and make him work. Just 9 minutes to go. Looking to see if he can get something done. As we say, we're into the final 10 minutes. This is when things tend to hot up, things to get a little silly. People just thinking, you got 10 minutes, this is my time to shine. You know, the fuel's definitely a bit lower. The cars are handling a little bit better. They've had those fresh rubbers on just 10 minutes ago, so it's certainly a chance to go for it. That was a wide run. Who was that? Was that Clifford, wasn't it? Clifford just ran wide there. But managed to check himself. Luckily, he's the one driver in this stack of train that's not under pressure.
Yes, like Jonathan Clifford is fine. There's over a second gap now to Petticelli. So for now, at least, he is safe. And he can still watch the fight unfold between Karnin and Oliveira. Might sneak up to them, gain a position, get himself up to 4th, right? And then with Roberto dropping due to his 15-second penalty, all of a sudden that will be a podium spot. So there is still something to go for all of these drivers. Getting a podium finish to the end of the group stage to set the tone for the grand final is never a bad thing.
Clifford running wide. It's Botticelli Rodeo right on his rear fin. Just keeping an eye. If anything, Botticelli has broke away from Woodrow. So Woodrow's attempt has sort of caused him problems getting that dirty air backed off a little bit, and Clifford now feeling the heat. Botticelli, who himself has had a great run today. Very successful over at Zandvoort. Now here at Silverstone. Can he get it done? Can he get up to 7th place? Can he get past? 7 minutes to go. Down the back here, this is Negrini. Well, obviously Negrini, famed for the torpedo on Moreira. I'm not sure if famed is the right word he'd like, but infamous perhaps, says sweep on through and out of Chapel. Keeping it going. Riley very much under pressure.
It seems like that Botticelli, it's not. I mean, he came closer, yes, due to the mistake of Clifford, but the difference in speed doesn't seem to be that high right now. But if these two starting, and also Woodrow will want to come back, I mean, keep in mind, it's 45-minute racing, and we nearly got everyone close together. Look at that. After Woodrow, there's Riley and Negrini building another group. Then it gets bigger in terms of the gaps between the cars. Moaning obviously 7, nearly 8 seconds, hardest in 10. But still, everything in front of Moaning is coming together now for the final 5 minutes, and well, there will be some fights, definitely, before we see the checker flag.
Oh, Clifford being dived around the outside here. Nice move from Botticelli Rodeo. He's going to get it done through the veil. And now he's got to be careful that Ryan Woodrow doesn't come from behind and catch him off there. But a really nice move there around the outside. Not for the first time we've seen today. Botticelli Rodeo choosing, I'm pretty sure it was him that actually got done round the outside by Oliveira Rodriguez. So maybe, I've seen it's possible. I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think he did a great job. And that was an awesome maneuver to go around the outside again. We saw that a bit earlier in the race as well. So it is doable on Silverstone. And I think that is the strength of Silverstone as a circuit for racing. To enable drivers that have the skill to pull off those stunts.
Yeah, the full speed, especially around Stowe. It's a corner that makes it doable as they go around Cops once again. And let's not forget, there is that 15-second penalty still looming over Roberto as well. And considering how tight, as you mentioned, these cars are running, it's actually going to send him back to, I'd say, even maybe 10th position because they're all running so close. There is that 6-second gap between himself and Carnahan, which he needs to try and build up and try and get hot laps effectively in there as quick as he can, which is working. His last lap was a full second quicker than Carnahan. So as these guys all battle, it does give Roberto a better chance at holding a higher position.
Approaching the end of the race, but Clifford, as I said previously, after being taken down by Botticelli, now has Woodrow all over him. Ryan Woodrow, 8th place right now. And that's the second fighting group right behind with Eri Riley and Renan Negrini. Negrini obviously after kind of torpedoing Moreira earlier in the sprint race. Already a few penalties today. He wants to stay on the good boy side, I would say, for the rest of this race. It's the last 4 minutes now. Started for Grit, but he's sending it up the inside here on Riley. What a maneuver by Negrini. Slight tap and sends both wide. Negrini spun around, I think. Riley only went onto the emergency lane once again, coming back to the track. Not quite sure what happened, though. Was one of them flicking it on the steering, maybe?
I don't understand with the way that he hit, how he ended up going right. I really don't know how Negrini ended up coming off worse there, but either way, as they were battling, I think that was in the village, wasn't it, where they came out on Trops, so yeah, so just going into it, yeah, counter steering into the skid perhaps and making sure that he doesn't catch it, and then ended up just completely losing it for Negrini, who had actually worked well to get back because he started in 17th, if you remember, after obviously the disaster that happened. But yeah, not the best of of ways for it. He does only lose one position though, so he's still managing to hold on to 11th there as this group continues to battle. Let's have a look at this one again.
Now let's have a quick look at the replay of what happened there. Oh, was it?
Did he just snap the back? The back's just snapped on him there.
Yeah, but it was because it was tapped at the front by Riley, but I'm not quite sure of who really moved for that to happen.
Race control will figure that one out for us. Well, this battle continues. I was talking about the gap. The gap is getting bigger. Carnahan and Roberto, that gap gets bigger, which gives Roberto a better chance. He is flying right now, Roberto. Fastest man on the circuit, trying his best to get rid of that 15-second gap and sort of benefiting from the fact that you can see this train of 5 cars all battling one another, almost causing problems for one another. But Chili Rodeo being pressured by Clifford, but that means that Woodrow may well be able to sneak up the inside of Clifford here if he can get the traction down. Doesn't look like it is and can't make the overtake.
Yeah, he was so close there. I'm absolutely sure he was hoping for a bit more power on that Lamborghini Huracán, although these cars have a ton of power. Once again on the straight. Can't really get the car side by side here, though. That was the big chance with Betticelli playing a role in it. You see that Woodrow is able to close the gap to Clifford, but he needs to create a move. So, like shot creators in the NBA, it's like he needs to find that one particular moment where he can get the car alongside. And that was the one, but yeah, it's like, well, I'm not sure if it was traction or if it was just a bit too subtle on the accelerator coming out there. I mean, lets the car run a bit wide there. Notice the super fast right-hander. Can he close the gap once again onto Jonathan Clifford? And can we see a move maybe on the last minute of the race?
I'll tell you what, he was very close to track limits there, Clifford. So interested to see what his count's getting up to, because that looked like he may well have just skipped it. Negrini has managed to get himself up past Michael Moning, who's running really wide actually there at the morning, so I'm not too sure what's happened there, but either way, he's not feeling very comfortable it seems, but Negrini's managed to get himself back up into 10th place, so regained the position lost that he had just a few moments ago. Jonathan Clifford once again seeing if he can maybe sneak back in there. Warren Woodrow always eager to try and gain a position past him. These guys have all been running in and around the top of the action throughout all 8 races, I guess you could say, that we've had in the group stage, so it's great to see them still battling, well, in the final lap effectively, and looking to see if they can make something work. But it's all about this man, isn't it? Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez has dominated today and showed some serious prowess here at Silverstone in his overtaking capabilities.
Yeah, definitely. Starting in 8th and making sure that he gets back-to-back wins here in Silverstone really prove, his goal for the championship in the NALA region. And I think it deserves every applause that we can have today and every point that we give out today. I'm not quite sure what that was. I'm a bit confused there. Just going, really launching up the inside. Just imagine he would have gotten an automated drive-through now for that cut.
No, that's the line. That's the line through there.
Yeah, I know. It's like just not a fan of it, kind of.
No, I'm not either. I remember when I was learning this track on ACC and everyone was like, no, you have to cut across there. I'm like, what? Like, nobody does that. But,
there's a curb for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, well, you're hogging the pit wall, basically, aren't you? But anyway, it is Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez comes out on top. Josh McKean in 2nd place. For Roberto, we'll see whether it falls him out, where he goes in terms of penalties. Obviously, after that, Carney de Oliveira had some fantastic driving throughout the day, but you know, you gotta take your hat off to Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez. He's been magnificent today, winning both main races. I think he was 2nd in both sprint races as well, so he just absolutely by and far the driver of the day.
Yeah, definitely, easily. He did overtakes on the inside, he did overtakes on the outside, he did switcheroos. Whatever you can come up with as a maneuver to overtake in these cars, Igor had it today and showed it that he's capable of doing so. So I think he's in the best shape to go into the grand final and fight off people like McCain, Fidel Morera. Let's be real here. Obviously, Fidel Morera really opening up now for people to apply pressure onto him, right? Because they saw now that there is a way to get Morera pressured, the previous champion of the NALA region, So this will be a bit bang there when we go head into the grand final.
So just for the Justice Warriors out there, I know obviously you like to see the punts punished. It did actually mean that Bertuccelli Rodeo, who did get punted, if you remember, finished in 4th, and Roberto actually finished in 8th with that 15-second penalty. So it didn't pay off for him, did it, the punt? Punts don't pay.
They certainly don't. Not with the race marshals watching, everyone. And obviously that's what they're doing here. We got them live, which is really cool, right? We don't wait for after the race and then people handing in complaints. Instead, they're watching the entire race, and then they pick up on everything that happens whenever there's a switch in positions. They check that, they investigate it, just like we saw with what happened to Moreira when we got into the pits, right? They have their eyes everywhere. So it doesn't really pay off if you punt someone from the back. Certainly not with a 15-second penalty, especially in Silverstone, where the gaps were they were non-existent for the top 10.
Yeah, it was great racing. Just great racing overall. Really enjoyed it today in terms of battling between them. So it's great to see, and it does, of course, mean we're going to have our top 15 confirmed for this as well. I think it was pretty clear for certainly the top 10, pretty much clear who's going to go through. We can kind of know the names that is going to be in there and thereabouts. I think a takeaway for today is that Fidel Moreira needs to have a look at himself. Yes, obviously he did get torpedoed in there, but you know the current champion is almost certainly going to be under serious threat come the finals now.
Yeah, like I said, it just opened up because Moreira obviously has the upper hand with having the title from last year and all of that. We will see how that turns out now, because that was a proper hit today. It's like, yes, he was unlucky, he got punted. So that's one half of the story. The other half of the story was that he just wasn't up to put himself together again, like rebuild himself and then have a good race. Although he might have had one in the main race at Silverstone, but he just got punted way too early.
Yeah, it's the same way it is. Yeah, it's gonna be close. I mean, I think the biggest issue right now in terms of points is, obviously we're adding them together at the moment, is there was a lot of low scorers in there. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see too many changes. I'm interested, obviously, you mentioned Camilo did drop out of that race, so that could cost him because Calvo and Baumann did finish, but I'm not too sure if they were high enough. I think they were running in 15th and 16th, or maybe 14th and 15th, so I don't think it's high enough to get them the points they maybe needed to break into that top 15. That's really going to be the tough one. I don't think there's going to be any question about who's going to be top. It's going to be Igor. He's absolutely smashed it today. Very interested actually to see Josh McKean, how he handles it, because he definitely seemed off the pace today. Whether that was because he was just cruising and knew he was safe, or whether there's a legit problem there that he just is so much better in the rain than everyone else, but also maybe not as hot in the dry. I don't know.
But we will say it's always that some people are very good in wet conditions, others will just drive on the normal ones, right? And adaptability comes to it and all of that. It is the big story. That's why we have dynamic weather. That's why our drivers never know what they can expect from the track coming up, but we can expect what's coming up next, which are actually the standings, not the overall standings, though. These are the standings.
Just the race.
Just Silverstone sprint and main race. So we know that Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez got a ton of points on track 2 here in the Nala region on Silverstone, 41 in total. So he certainly won Silverstone. I think points-wise, he also won Zandvoort.
Yeah.
So he will be the overall points winner. Diego Carlin in second. That's kind of a surprise to me. A driver that we didn't have on the screen that often. Had a very quiet race, but he brought the points home. That's the important bit.
Yeah, safe and secure. Benefited a bit from the pit stops and the second time out there. This is where the points sort of came in. Obviously, we saw Camilo picking up 2, Calvo, but Baumann picking up 3. Now, is that going to be enough? Add that into maybe what they picked up. Obviously, Camilo's disconnect, not ideal. I guess, obviously, Moreira also picking up, but that doesn't matter, the 3 points he got there. The battle here is what we're talking about is 15. The top 15 are the drivers that will go through to the final. And the 16th place will be decided in a last chance qualifier to be decided during the week, actually, during next week.
Yeah, one more spot to give away. Lamborghini Arena Race for the NALA region. There's also one spot left in the EMEA region, one spot left in the APEC region. But we will need to figure out who actually needs that last chance qualifier to get the spot within the grand final. Because, as I said, I think it's Gustavo Camillo dropping out. I'm looking at my points.
You think? I think he's safe.
But
he had 3 points there, and Calvo Bauman had 2. So I think Camillo's safe.
Let's see.
I think he's safe.
That's the overall standings. No surprise. Oh no, these are not the overall standings. These are the overall standings before
the race.
Finished. Yep.
No
production.
No.
I can tell you. So we just go through it quickly. Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez, 132 points instead of 107, right? So nothing changes there. Josh McKean second, 94. That's fine. Roberto third, and then Batticelli Rodeo in fourth, and Diego Carn in fifth. That's the top 5. So let's scroll all the way down.
Carning into the top 5 has impressed me. That's
like I said,
what a great day is that. Yeah.
Under the radar for this race. Wait. 132. Is that correct?
No, you're right. You're right.
It is, right?
Good, yep,
I'm just wondering, did Bauman and Calvio not pick up points? Oh, they had 11 points. They both picked up 2.
Yes.
And Gustav Camillo, where did he pick up 1?
3. He picked up 3.
Where?
On the sprint race.
Yeah, but I saw the sprint race results previously. I have the feeling like
he was ahead in the sprint race. Yeah.
Yeah,
and he's
true. Wow,
which is why he had 3 points, and Calvo and Bauman only had 2. That's why there's 1 point difference.
That's devastating. David Calvo and Max Bauman missing out by 1 point. While Gustavo Camillo did not even finish.
Now, I also want to throw in there that Calvo got spun by Moreira in Zandvoort.
Oh,
main
true.
Race.
Which would have probably been that 1 point.
Yep.
Stories that only Motorsport writes. Wow. Okay. So yeah, that means David Calvo and Max Baumann, we will probably see them again in the last chance qualifier, maybe together with Gustavo Rodriguez and Fernando Deutsch, in another shot at getting the last spot in our grand final. But yeah, that's heartbreaking. I feel with them right now. I feel really bad for them. I thought they made it because they finished the race, but it just wasn't enough points.
Yeah. It's frustrating. I no doubt about it. They're probably hoping for somebody else to drop out so they can just get that 1 extra point. Then, of course, it would have been down to placements, right? You'd have been looking at placements between them, see who got through. And the reason I point out placements because we had the same situation in EMEA where a driver's gone through because he'd finished second in a race. However, he wasn't even there for the second group stage. But because he'd done so well in the first group stage and got the second place, I think there was 4 drivers equal on points for 15th place. And it was decided on where they placed in the races.
Yeah, you need to find some sort of ranking, right? If they have the same points and making down the placement, I think makes absolute sense to me. But it will be always frustrating if the driver that's losing out due to that, right? Like in terms of points, you're looking the same, and then you're realizing that the other driver maybe managed once to get, I don't know, into the top 10 and you were 11th or something. So that can be heartbreaking, but that also means that we got our at least 50 finalists from every single region. And since we already told you so much about the last chance qualifier coming up, the grand final coming up, I think we'll soon also show you the schedule. But we'll first get the corrected standings once again, just to be sure that nothing went wrong there. So yeah, Igor de Oliveira Rodriguez obviously winning 132 points. McKean, Roberto, Batticelli Rodeo, Carnin, and then Fidel Moreira. Quite far down, I have to say. And the gap now from McKean to Oliveira Rodriguez is quite big. I have to admit that as well. But the second side, that's where the heartbreaking stories begin. That's where things go wrong sometimes. And they did go wrong for David Calvo, Max Baumann, and Gustavo Rodriguez. All of them on 13 points. And the cutoff was Gustavo Camillo. 14 points. And it just looks so bad.
Yeah, and he had a disconnect as well in that final race as well. So yeah, I'm sure he's going to be very surprised to find that he's actually still in there. Probably quite frustrated about his day, but he is in the final. And it's for Calvo Bauman, obviously who raced hard today, they're going to have to try and roll the dice once again.
All right. That means we're done. Group stages are in the books, done and dusted, out of the way. And for us, that means we will prepare for the grand final. The last chance qualifier will not be streamed, so you won't see our face, but you can obviously follow all the racers, drivers, and Lamborghini The Real Race in general on the webpage, on Twitter, on Instagram. You get the infos everywhere. We'll make it into the final, and then Lee and me will return on which day, Lee? When do we come back?
October 16th, all day long. It's going to be a long Sunday, that one. So look forward to seeing the race in action, who can come out top in APAC, EMEA, and NALA, all on the same day.
Yeah, that will be big. A lot of racing on ACC as the Corsa Competizione. Thanks to Kuno Sumazzoni, technical partner, making this possible. And Lamborghini The Real Race comes back 16th of October with Lee and me, Renee. See you guys there.